Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Yes, sir. Give me about 30 seconds. I'll hook it up. Matter of fact, I'll do it.
I see, yeah.
check one. Audio check.
Thank you.
All right, this is an audio check, level check for 90.5 WANM. Level check, I'm running about negative 20 dB compression. 20 dB compression on this line, negative 20 dB compression. Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4. Call to order and welcome. Roll call, public comments. All right, thank you, sir.
Jeff. Let me hear it again. Let me send it to the webcast. Sounds good. All right. Here you go. I see what you're saying.
Alrighty. So if you look at pages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 12, we will start with the agenda. Testing 1, 2. Audio, is it too low? It's too low now?
Didn't have to tell it again because it's delayed. Hold up.
That's coming out.
I need to look at it.
All right, audio test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can turn it, I can crank it. All right, we'll do. Over there. Yeah. All right, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 16. Yes, sir. 16, 7. I'm gonna change the headphones, but to some better headphones. But that's basically 1, 2, 3. See if that's a good level for him. I can, if need be, I can. Yeah.
I'm doing okay.
That's a level check 1, 2, 3, 4. You need it louder. More drive. 1, 2, 3. Audio test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is about the normal level. You can turn it up some. All right, let me change the headphones first, and then I'll. Yeah.
How are you?
All right, level check 1, 2, 3.
Wonderful. Just wonderful.
Audio check 1, 2. Audio 1.
Hey, let me see this.
Want to give you 2 mics.
That's
How are you, sir?
get my notes together here.
Make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Two, three. Audio check 1, 2. Level
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Level 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, you're gonna ask?
You got to be right back next week. It's committee.
I'm not coming back for committee week next week.
Okay. Law is law.
Level check 1, 2, 3, 4. Level
This is your
1,
book.
2.
You
You got level capital news. Level 1, 2.
Oh, okay. Oh, you don't want to
Check Joe. You're not getting anything. You're good. You're good, Joe.
One of the rare occasions they were all
Benitra.
He was here yesterday.
Joe.
The vice chair. I totally agree.
Now there you go. Yes.
We're on now. Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the meeting of the Florida A&M University Board of Trustees. I call this meeting to order. Attorney Barge Miles, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Carter.
Here.
Trustee Dortch.
Here.
Trustee Grable.
Here.
Trustee Harrison.
Here.
Trustee Lawrence.
Here.
Trustee Lawson.
Here.
Trustee Mills.
Here.
Trustee Moore.
Here.
Trustee Perry.
Here.
Trustee Reed.
Here.
Trustee Washington.
Here.
Trustee Woody.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. We had 4 young individuals from our Rattler family involved in a serious car accident, and unfortunately one of them did not make it. So at this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence and observance of the passing of Miss Mullins. Thank you. At this time, I would also be remiss if I didn't thank one of our trustees that is no longer with us. I would like to officially thank Trustee Justin Bruno for his service to this body. He was the former president of the SGA and served the SGA well as his board. And we wish him well as he has needed to take some time away and spend more time working on some other activities. So we wish former trustee Justin Bruno well in those pursuits. And at this particular point in time, I'd also like to welcome our newest trustee, our new SGA president, Trustee Devin Harrison. And if you would, Trustee Harrison, I'd ask that you give us a couple of opening remarks this morning.
Yes, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'll be totally remiss if I didn't talk about Justin for a quick second. Serving with Justin, not just as SGA president, but as my brother and my friend, I learned so much from him. He was smart, he was articulate, and he said exactly how he felt, and some people may have not agreed with that. However, we cannot honor him for what he has done for our university. Serving so many years in student leadership, he has done so much. However, moving forward, I want to say we will move forward, and not just me, myself, but we as a student government, because I can't do this by myself. And looking to people around me to actually help and assist to move this semester out and move this year forward is one of the most important things to me and to this university. So we will work together in love and humility and integrity to actually do whatever we need to do in order to move the name and the brand of Florida A&M University forward. And I find it a pleasure to serve on the Board of Trustees, and thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Harrison.
Very glad to.
At this point, we need to determine if there's anyone to sign up for public comment. Trustee Barge Miles?
Yes.
Okay. For those individuals that have signed up for public comment, the rules are consistent. You have 3 minutes from start to finish. There will be a timer on the screen for you to monitor your performance. So our first person for public comment is?
Dr. Clyde Ashley.
Thank you. Dr. Ashley, will you approach the podium, please? Is Dr. Ashley in the audience?
Next person.
No? Okay. Well, why don't we move to the next person, and if Dr. Ashley comes in, we will allow him to speak. Dr. Royster? Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, our illustrious Board of Trustees, our Chair,
Good morning.
Chair Lawson, and to all of you. To our FAMU family, as a longtime member of the faculty and professor and associate dean and a professor here at FAMU, and having been recruited to serve in 6 different universities around the nation, and as an expert in executive leadership in higher education, leadership training, and so forth, I want to offer my support to Dr. Robinson on behalf of all of us who worked with you down through the years. As our provost and vice president for academic affairs, and as our interim president while we were here before I was recruited out of FAMU myself to serve upstate and as a professor and dean at another institution. Simply saying that using these words, there are leaders, Dr. Robinson, and there are leaders. There are teachers, and then there are teachers. There are scholars, and then there are scholars, but you excel them all. So we thank you for your leadership. My final comment is that we are truly inspired by his presence. We are blessed by his promises. We are powered by his favor. We're sustained by his grace. And under your leadership, I know that we will more than exceed our goals as have been laid out by our Board of Trustees and our Board of Governors. And as a member of the think tank commission here at FAMU, which you endorse our commission, we thank you for your support and your leadership. God bless you.
Thank you.
Dr. Clyde Ashley.
Good morning. I am Dr. Clyde Ashley, Associate Professor in the School of Business and Industry. Chairman Lawson and the rest of the Board of Trustees, President Robinson. I guess I'm so good you had to call my name twice. Ladies and gentlemen, this is serious business. And I want to say at the outset that Dr. Robinson, you and I have talked and I have worked with you over these many, many years. And Board of Trustees, I want to say to you that it is about time. And I want to commend this Board of Trustees. And I want to commend the faculty, the staff, the students, the alumni, and all of the supporting groups. We all have come to the conclusion that it's about time that we name Dr. Larry Robinson the permanent president of Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University.
Thank you.
Dr. Elizabeth Davenport.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
There's an old adage that says, those who can teach, those who can't criticize teachers. In the last few days, I've been involved in a discussion about the counselors and the advisors on this campus. I want to tell you that, and in fact, I went to a meeting. And in that meeting, those counselors and advisors gave their comments and their concerns about their being changed from academic advisement, academic affairs to student affairs. I want to tell you that anyone who studies change knows that you have to get the buy-in of the people you're seeking to govern before you can have effective change. I urge you to talk to the counselors and the advisors and get their opinions about what we can do to be more productive here at FAMU. I'd like to thank Dr. Robinson for mentioning that this is a collective bargaining issue. By the way, I don't want to embarrass you, Dr. Robinson, but can I get the $5 back that I gave you? I understand. I understand from my street committee that you might have a permanent job. And I'm a lowly, poor professor, okay? Finally, I would be remiss not to mention, given my two law school alma maters of the University of Michigan, go Maize and Blue, and New York University, that you cannot unilaterally change the duties and responsibilities of union members without coming to the union. Have a great day.
Thank you. Does that conclude our public comment? Thank you. At this time, we will move into our President's Report. I'd like to recognize Interim President Robinson for the President's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I have a short report. It's certainly going to be guaranteed because my team put it on video. this time out. And I don't get to even narrate it like I did before. So with that, here is a brief video of some of the activities that we have been involved in over the last 90 days.
In the past 90 days, FAMU's legislative budget requests were presented to Florida legislators through a series of meetings. We're working hard to show them why they should support the LBRs. Members of the senior leadership team, or Dr. Robinson, have met with Speaker of the House Richard Corcoran, House Majority Leader Ray Rodriguez, Senator Perry Thurston, Senator Darrell Roussan, Senator Bill Monfort, the House and Senate appropriations staff, as well as others, to explain what FAMU is trying to accomplish and to punctuate how important approval of the budget requests are to the university's strategic initiatives. And recently, the leadership team held a reception for the state's Legislative Black Caucus on campus at the Black Archives. Members expressed their continued support for initiatives at FAMU. Another longtime supporter of FAMU also made a stop on campus. Senator Montfort finally received his ceremonial shovel that was used during the summer groundbreaking ceremony for the one-stop shop Cass Student Services building. He wasn't able to attend the groundbreaking, so the presentation was made over lunch at the President's house to thank him for helping to secure funds for the structure and for continued support of FAMU. Many people have been working on solidifying the plan for the medical marijuana education initiative that was delegated to FAMU in Senate Bill 8A. The university is responsible for educating minority communities across the state on the medicinal benefits of medical marijuana and the consequences of the unlawful use of marijuana. The initiative has captured national attention, further fueled by a feature on our initiative in Black Enterprise magazine. FAMU had two very good meetings with the Florida Department of Health, including one with the state's Surgeon General. The initiative's rollout coincides with the Department of Health's rollout early next year. And one person who knows quite a bit about healthcare initiatives is Mike Fernandez. He's the chairman and CEO of MBF Healthcare Partners, a private investment firm located in Coral Gables, Florida. Trustee Dave Lawrence arranged for him to visit FAMU. Fernandez toured the campus and was the special guest speaker at a very inspirational and engaging session with hundreds of students. And as you can see, they were dressed for the occasion and left a memorable impression with Mr. Fernandez. There are hopes for a follow-up with him in the near future. The highlights of the annual Founders Day convocation included an inspirational message from former FAMU president Dr. James Ammons. Another highlight was the unveiling of 3 historical markers. One marks the site of the Carnegie Library. Philanthropist Andrew Carnegie donated the funds to build the library back in 1907. It was the first brick veneer building on campus. The Lucy Moulton Elementary School marker was also unveiled. Over the years, it evolved into the FAMU Developmental Research School. It was originally created for students studying at the Colored Normal School, which is, of course, now FAMU. Gibbs Cottage, constructed in 1894 and moved here from its original site, was the home of Thomas V. Gibbs. Gibbs was a member of the Florida legislature, and in 1887 he introduced legislation that resulted in the founding of the Florida State Normal College for colored students. FAMU has come a long way since those days. New enrollment figures show 9,918 students enrolled this year. Freshman enrollment is up about 10% over last year. That's in large part due to aggressive recruitment efforts. In the recruitment arena, efforts are even more focused as the goal is to increase the number of students graduating in 4 years. There was a large recruitment event at the signature Florida Blue Florida Classic in Orlando. 1,500 students packed the hotel ballroom to hear why they should attend FAMU. More about the Classic a little later. Another recruitment event held at the Tampa Classic attracted about 200 students as well as parents. And like they did at the Florida Classic event, the FAMU Connection put on quite a show centered around the theme, Why FAMU? They informed recruits in an entertaining way of the university's strengths and of the opportunities that await them. A recruitment stop in Columbus, South Carolina provided an opportunity to make corporate connections. FAMU brought home a $50,000 check courtesy of Lockheed Martin. The money is to be used for student scholarships. Housing accommodations are a factor that students and parents consider when choosing a college to attend. With that in mind, hosting the Facilities Planning Committee of the Board of Trustees was a great opportunity. Led by recently reappointed trustee Kimberly Moore, trustees were able to see up close the opportunities we have in residence halls to improve the student campus experience and to further improve recruitment efforts. As for homecoming, well, we didn't win the game, but we certainly continue to win the hearts of thousands of FAMU faithful. What would homecoming be without a parade? Here's a quick look at some of the sights and sounds of a great FAMU tradition. Tailgaters were out in force again as they interacted with friends, family, and familiar faces. It may have been a little difficult to recognize faces at the President's Masquerade Gala. Many of those in attendance donned masks throughout the night at the Al Lawson Multipurpose Center. It was an enjoyable event attended by more than 650 people. Immediately after homecoming events, the focus shifted to execution of plans for the Florida Classic. This year, stadium attendance topped 48,000 people. There were a number of activities associated with the event, including more recruitment, entertainment, and fundraising. The most anticipated event was the unveiling of the band's brand new uniforms. Alumni Bernard and Shirley Kinsey donated $250,000 to buy the uniforms, as well as a branded travel trailer for the band's equipment.
The 2017, the nominated piccolos, clarinets, saxophone,
Today for me was like prom and graduation all rolled into one. I mean, seeing them look their best and do their best. And we're very proud of them, not just for their musicianship, but for their academic leadership too.
And we think that the band is still the #1 symbol for Florida A&M. And without it, I think we diminished ourselves somewhat. And we're just so happy to have them feeling good about themselves.
It's good to have on something fresh and new. You know, our former President Obama said sometimes change is good, and we've had these uniforms now for almost 15 years.
And in case you haven't heard, the Marching 100 has been invited to the Tournament of Roses Parade in 2019. As you know, it is one of many honors the band has earned over the years.
Okay.
Did a great job.
Well, that was pretty good. Probably better than a little bit better than I think it should have been. But anyway, let me conclude, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, with just a few upcoming events to bring to your attention. First is the President's Holiday Toy Drive tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. at the President's House. Every year we donate toys to the local communities, and we team up with organizations to distribute the toys to children of incarcerated parents, those who are being reared by grandparents, and others who otherwise would not receive a gift. So please join us and bring with you your gift, and if you can't join us there, you can drop your gift off on the second floor of the hall. Also tomorrow, we'll have at 6:30 p.m. we'll have a candlelight vigil for Ms. Moja Mullins at the Eternal Flame. Our students are organizing that event. Then we have a very busy weekend in Dallas. Several members of the leadership team and I will be going to Dallas to attend the annual meeting of the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges. We will also attend a recruitment event co-hosted by the Dallas chapter alumni, and I have meetings scheduled with several members of the corporate sector while there. On December the 6th, FAMU alumnus Dr. Miriam Bowers and his wife, similar to the type of reception that many of you hosted at your homes, will host a reception for scholars at his home in Los Angeles, in the Los Angeles area. Several deans are working from the STEM disciplines, along with SBI Dean Dr. Friday Star will be there visiting LA area schools, in particular magnet programs. On December the 7th, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, Senator Perdue, will be on campus for a visit and a roundtable discussion. We're still working out the details of that visit. On December the 16th at 9 a.m., AME Bishop Vashti McKenzie will be speaking at our first of two commencement exercises. And on December the 15th at 6 p.m., Dr. Cheryl Harris Booker, All-State Executive and FAMU alumnus, will be the commencement speakers. I think I got those backwards. And early January, on January the 13th, thanks to the work of Chair Lawson, we will be hosting a meeting on campus with the incoming Chair of the Board of Governors, Ned Laudenbacher. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. At this point, I want to move into the Presidential Leadership Committee led by Trustee Thomas Dortch. This committee has been working very hard over the last several months, and the first order of business for this committee is to talk about the waiver of Board of Governors Regulation 1.002. Trustee Dortch, you're recognized.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, the committee is honored to have had the charge from you and from this Board of Trustees to shoulder the responsibilities for looking at the permanent and future leadership of Florida A&M University. During our meeting in trustees who met at the Trustee Summit recently with the Board of Governors, we did receive the waiver as directed by this board to seek. And Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for your leadership in leading that charge. And we did get the waiver of the Board of Governors Regulation 1.002 that allows us to opt out of a national search if that was a decision of this body, in which we had made that decision to request that we could do so. On yesterday, the Presidential Leadership Committee did meet, and the committee members were provided the presidential profile that was developed in advance and asked to review it prior to meeting and arriving here on yesterday. I reviewed with the committee the process that got us to this point as a reminder of the journey we've had. First, we held town hall meetings and received feedback from students, faculty, staff, and alumni regarding what they wanted and thought the president of Florida A&M University should be. We then met with a consultant as a board and compiled the characteristics that we thought were important based on these hearings and based on our stakeholders' input. The consultant then put the information together to create the presidential profile that we used. We approved the presidential profile at our last board meeting in Jacksonville, and we individually weighed Dr. Robinson's performance against that profile, as we did indicate in our board meeting that he would be one of the first that we would do, and anybody being considered would be measured against that profile. President Robinson was given an opportunity in addition to comment about the profile, and Dr. Robinson again stated that the presidential profile is exactly what FAMU needs, and he, of course, and it's good to have confidence, feels that he possesses the qualities outlined in the profile. The committee recommended that Dr. Larry Robinson be named president of Florida A&M University yesterday, and that was a unanimous decision during our meeting. Mr. Chairman and trustees, we feel that this will further solidify and demonstrate the stability of the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University as we move into 2018. So therefore, Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Trustees name Dr. Larry Robinson permanent president of Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University.
Board, it has been motioned by Trustee Dortch, coming out of the Leadership Committee, coming out of the discussion yesterday, that we make Dr. Larry Robinson our next permanent president. There is a motion on the floor.
Second.
Motion has been stated and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'd ask for a roll call vote at this time, please.
Trustee Matthew Carter.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas Dortch.
Yes.
Trustee Betty Grable.
Yes.
Trustee Devin Harrison.
Yes.
Trustee Dave Lawrence.
Yes.
Trustee Kelvin Lawson.
Yes.
Trustee Harold Mills.
Yes.
Trustee Kimberly Moore.
Yes.
Trustee Belvin Perry.
Yes.
Trustee Craig Reed.
Yes.
Trustee T. Nicole Washington.
Yes.
Trustee Robert Woody.
Yes.
The vote is 12-0.
Vote is 12-0. Motion carries. As soon as he completes the victory lap, we're going to ask our new president to make a couple remarks.
Much longer than Tux. Yes.
Wherever you like, sir. You're president now.
Just to repeat somewhat of what I said yesterday, I'm extremely humbled, but perhaps even more overjoyed to have this opportunity to help move this university forward. And I understand the awesomeness of this responsibility. I will not take it lightly. This vote of confidence that I received this morning, I think is very, very important. One of you, as I shook your hands, made a very important point, and that is, y'all have my back, because I can't get there without all of you. And we have to move out on this as a team, and I'm very, 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 very fortunate to be a part of your team. And that's the way I'm always going to view this. I do want to emphasize that our number one priority will continue to be student success. Fully understanding, Dr. Grable, that a key element fully understanding the key element of our student success, and I've said it to you, and I've said it to others, is the great work of our faculty at this institution. But it takes so much more. It takes a great staff. It takes dedicated and committed alumni and all kinds of friends. Some friends we don't even know we have out there, but we're going to find them all because we need them all. Because the challenges are significant, but there's nothing that's out there that we as a community, as a family, won't be able to overcome. I take very seriously the the comments that you made in your recent evaluation. That gives me a good indication of some of the things that you think I need to be working on, and I agree with you. There are some places where we're going to place a lot of attention to really move this along. And so I want to tell you how much I appreciate you for your constructive comments in that evaluation. The most important thing I think that we've done in terms of charting the course for our future is this strategic plan. It's our roadmap. But without putting the teeth and energy and resources behind it, it's just another piece of paper. But that's not going to happen. You're not going to allow that to happen. I'm not going to allow it to happen. We're going to get there as a team. And so, not to take a whole lot of your time this morning, Mr. Chairman, I know that there's somebody on the phone. I know you have other business on your agenda this morning, but let me just say once again, I am really humbled by this. I'm excited by it. It gives us all an opportunity to move this university forward, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you in FAMU's new future. Thank you very much.
I too want to thank our new president. I want to thank the leadership of the Presidential Leadership Committee. I want to thank all the members of that committee. I want to thank the board as a whole. I think we did our job, and we organized it, and we followed our own process to the end. And for that, I think we should all be commended. And we based all of our decisions on data. And we didn't rush to an outcome that would have been premature. And I think we all collectively feel very good about where we are, and we feel very good about our future, and we feel extremely good about our new leader, President Dr. Larry Robinson.
Yeah.
And we'll go off script just a little bit because I know a number of you would like to take pictures and congratulate the new president. So we will take 10 minutes and allow those of you that want to talk to Dr. Robinson right away to do so. But we will have to get back to our business to make sure we get through a full agenda today. So we'll take 10 and let you all that need to talk or want to take pictures meet with Dr. Robinson.
About to derail this whole meeting. Oh, sorry. Hot mic.
How are you? Thank you.
I have your attention, everyone, please?
All right.
Everyone, we're going to try and settle down. I know it's a joyous occasion. We definitely want to celebrate it appropriately, but we do have a number of business items that we need to take care of this morning.
Okay.
Do we have a sergeant at arms?
We need several of them.
All righty.
Okay, I think we're back to normal. So everyone, thank you. I know it was a joyous occasion, and we wanted to give you a couple minutes, so we deviated from the agenda a little bit to allow everyone some time to connect with Dr. Robinson. But we have to get back to the business of the morning and back into our committee reports. And there will be time post the meeting for you all to spend additional time with our new president, Dr. Larry Robinson. At this point, I do want to move into our committee reports, and we will move into the Governors Committee. Trustee Mills, can you please provide an update from the Governors Committee's activities?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Mr. Chair, the Governors Committee met yesterday and had one action item on its agenda. First, the committee reviewed the presidential evaluation. After a short discussion, the committee voted to accept the evaluation. The evaluation is included in the consent agenda. Next, the committee conducted a preliminary review of the goals presented by President Robinson. It was suggested that the number of goals should be reduced to approximately 15 or some other smaller number. The committee will continue to review the goals and will provide updates and recommendations to the board liaison. I will work with President Robinson to incorporate this feedback into his goals for 2017-2018. This process should be finalized within the next 30 to 45 days. We will then ask Chair Lawson to call a meeting to approve those goals. Since the committee did not take action on the goals, we're requesting that this item be removed from the consent agenda for today. Mr. Chair, this completes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Mills. And again, once you all are ready, let us know, and then we'll create the call meeting for us to review the 17-18 goals with the president.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Presidential leadership, Trustee Dortch, and then I think, Trustee Dortch, we need to talk about how much longer your special committee needs to remain active, but we'll take your recommendation on that.
Mr. Chairman, on the presidential leadership, I would like for us to have at least one wrap-up meeting.
Sure.
And with that, to also confer with the president to see if there's any additional things that he may need from us. And of course, Mr. Chairman, as you think through it, and then from there, we'll do a wrap-up report for the full board as a result of that meeting.
There's probably some logic in you all staying active until we do the final confirmation in January at the Board of Governors meeting.
Okay.
So I think you should at least remain active through that process.
Okay, Mr. Chair, we will.
Thank you. Academic and Student Affairs, Trustee Matt Carter, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a very vigorous and fortunately for us, not only did we have our committee members participate, but we had the participation of the full board, which gave us a fantastic opportunity to do some great things. And we have 6 action items that are for approval. One was a revised request for leave for pay for Dr. Golden was presented and discussed. Also, a textbook affordability annual report was presented and discussed. The revision of Regulation 4.105 was presented and discussed. The proposed Regulation 5.005 was presented and discussed. As you know, Mr. Chairman, this was dealing with the First Amendment, as well as maintaining proper safety for our students, our faculty, and staff here. Also, we had, in response to the Board of Governors' request to develop a plan to address critical needs on campus, we had a presentation on our campus safety enhancements, and also in response to the Board of Governors' request to develop a plan to deal with this critical issue of student health, and that was presented. And all of those recommendations, Mr. Chairman, are on the consent agenda. And the committee approved the recommendation for the mental health plan, but we actually forwarded that to the budget committee.
And that concludes my report for the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee.
Thank you, Trustee Carter. At this point, we would like to move into our strategic planning and Performance Measures Committee. Trustee Washington, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair Lawson. The Strategic Planning and Performance Measures Committee met yesterday. The meeting was attended by Trustees Moore, Reed, myself, and Woody. There were no action items and 3 information items. The 3 information items included an update on strategic plan implementation. Interim Provost Rodner and VP Hudson provided an update on an initiative to restructure the university's advisement program. They provided an overview of the plan and indicated that restructuring will be completed by June of 2018. There was an update on performance-based funding model. VP Eddington provided an update on the performance-based funding model, which included a summary of FAMU's historical performance since the model was implemented back in 2014. The committee requested that VP Eddington identify a set of appropriate metrics that will serve as leading indicators of the university's ongoing progress on the performance metrics. The last information item was an update on the faculty workload study, again by VP Eddington. This should be, draft will be completed by January 19th, and then the study should be presented to the board at the March 2018 meeting. Mr. Chair, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Washington. The next report is the Special Committee on Athletics that I chair. We have 3 informational items. One, we did introduce our interim athletic director, Dr. John Eason, to the team yesterday. Number 2, we reviewed the athletic budget. Pleased to say that we are on trend, assuming everything stays intact, to have another year of a balanced athletic budget. So huge accommodations to Mr. Overton, Dr. Ford, and her team for working tirelessly with us to make that happen. We also announced the formation of our search committee for our new head coach. I think some of you may have even seen an article that listed the individuals that have been assigned to that search committee, and our goal is to move swiftly to appoint a new head football coach as we move into the holiday season. My last, actually, I guess we could call it an action item, is to ask A.D. Overton to approach the podium. See, we'll try and do it so everybody can see. What we want to do is give A.D. Overton a little bit of a going-away gift, a symbol of our appreciation to him for the efforts and the leadership and the innovation that he's brought to Florida A&M. And we wish him well at Kennesaw State, and he will definitely be missed here on the Hill. A.D. Overton, thank you.
Thank you very much.
The helmet has been signed by, I believe everyone in the athletic department has signed the helmet, so it'll be a great memento to put in your new office. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay, the next committee report is audit and compliance. Trustee Reed, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Audit and Compliance Committee met on yesterday. We had one action item, which was approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, and then several informational items. The first being an update on the forensic audit done by E&Y on the boosters. We received the summary of that report, and we're taking actions regarding the identification of items that were given to us via the final report. Secondly, we had an update on the Chief Compliance Officer position, which is a requirement by the Board of Governors. We have several personnel that we're looking at and are enthusiastic that we'll be able to complete and fill that position relatively soon here within the next couple of weeks. And we had several other informational items really focused on enterprise risk management, which was one specific item from the Board of Governors, follow-up on audit findings, and we had extensive discussion about that, and we're going to put more process and rigor around how we manage and drive compliance to our audit findings, and the President and VP Givens will take strong action on getting us additional information so that we can dive deeper and start to hold greater accountability and compliance to our requirements there around those actions and activities. There's some new technology that's been put in place, a project management system that is helping the organization better manage across the university how we're understanding what's in place relative to our audit findings. And we have specific training that's being put in place in support of some of the strategic initiatives, such as construction on campus, where the audit committee's resources are being put to bear in support of that activity. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Reed. Next, we will have Budget, Finance, and Facilities, led by Vice Chair Kimberly Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On yesterday, we met. There was one consent item and 3 action items, along with 6 informational items. The action items included approval of the amendment associated with the operating budget, approval of our income and expenditure statements for auxiliary facilities, also related to revenue bonds, and then lastly, approval of the CAS Amendment 1 for construction manager. In specific, the information items revolved around the financial status report, write-offs, project updates, food service vendor updates, succession planning, and cost savings quarterly updates. There were action items that were identified during that meeting. Those action items include, for future placement on our agenda, hiring an individual that will, with the expertise to lead the public-private partnership process, also deferring to staff relative to the procurement for the selection of a food service vendor. Third being to accelerate the succession planning implementation process. Fourth action item being to expand the reporting of student account write-offs, also drilling it down for a 24-month period. And then lastly, to increase the efforts around cost savings, a goal that was laid out by a committee member being 10%. So we will strive to address that. This concludes the November 29, 2017 meeting report of the Budget, Finance, and Facilities Committee.
Thank you, Trustee Moore. Next, we have Trustee Thomas Storch to provide an update on our DSO activities.
Mr. Chairman, the DSO committee has one action item and several informational items. The fiscal year 2017-18 DSO budgets for FAMU Foundation and FAMU National Alumni Association were presented in advance to the committee for acceptance. Following discussion regarding the budget for the FAMU Foundation, a motion was approved unanimously by the committee for Vice President George Cotton Sr. to return at the next available meeting with a specific fundraising target and tactics and a budget that matches that would provide the board better insight into expenses that tie to specific revenue targets. The motion included authorization for Vice President Cotton to operate under the fiscal 2016-17 budget until the 2017-18 budget is approved. The fiscal 2017-18 budget for the Rattler booster was made available yesterday during the DSO committee meeting. The booster's budget was placed on hold to provide Vice President Cotton an opportunity to review and to bring back a recommendation of the committee, as is the process that has been in place for DSO committees. The committee motioned to approve the FAMU National Alumni budget and recommended it to the board for acceptance today. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Trustees accept the fiscal year 2017-18 budget for the Florida A&M University National Alumni Association.
Thank you, Trustee Dortch. We won't vote on it right now, but it is on the consent agenda, so we will take a vote on it as an item on the consent agenda.
All right, and then there's one other little DSO update real quick. The Office of Alumni Affairs assisted with a corporate alumni and student recruitment event in upstate South Carolina. Esteemed alumna Representative Gilda Cobb-Hunter of the South Carolina State Legislature, internist, and Dr. Daniel Grisham, and retired Boeing executive and former FAMU cluster member David Blanding were the engines to help interim, who is now president, Dr. Larry Robinson, and several FAMU dean introduced to the upstate the great things happening at FAMU. FAMU National Alumni President Gregory Clark and interim president were principal players at the National Education Association Summit in Washington. Of course, I was the keynote speaker at that meeting. A highlight of the trip was an insightful meeting with Florida Senator Marco Rubio. And two highlights from the recent Florida Classic weekend were that FAMU's 8th president alumnus, Dr. Frederick Humphreys and Dr. Oswald Brunson, former Bethune-Cookman University president, were recognized for their leadership in transitioning the Classic from Tampa to Orlando, and interim President Robinson, FAMU. Foundation Chair Thomas Jones and National Alumni President Clark were among several honorees at the Rattler Club Gala. And then on December 2nd, alumni in the Dallas-Fort Worth area will welcome President Dr. Larry Robinson to the area. The December 6th in Los Angeles, alumnus and former FAMU Foundation board member Dr. Marion Bowers will host an event for Dr. Robinson. The foundation's fiscal 2017 budget, again, was discussed during that meeting. But anyway, the bottom line, the Rattler boosters and everybody is on the move, doing well, and have a great plan in place and doing the reorganization. And we want to thank the athletic department, which is still housing the Rattler booster, who operates under athletic supervision and management, and we think that all of the DSO committees are going to continue to perform well. That's our report from the DSO.
Thank you, Chairman George. The one thing I do want to say about our DSOs, and I think it's really important to know that the DSOs work under either the foundation or under athletics. And we have appointed a person or a trustee from this board to sit on every DSO board. And that's the process that we will manage moving forward to ensure that there is complete alignment between the activities from this board and that respective DSO and backward as well. So thank you, Trustee George, for your leadership in working with the respective DSOs. At this point, I'd like to transition to Judge Perry to give us an update on the special committee on the Florida A&M University Law College.
Mr. Chair, the special committee on the law school met yesterday. At that meeting, the dean of the law school, Dean Leroy Purnell, provided the following updates. He indicated in terms of dealing with the bar passage rate that he has hired an academic planning success advisor for students on probation and for course selection. Secondarily, he indicated that in 2018, the law school will have a mandatory upper level examination for second and third year students. This is to measure their knowledge and analytical skills and to work on identifying deficiencies. They have also implemented a small section program for first year students to increase interaction with faculty. He's also appointed a permanent director of the bar prep program. He's also hired an additional academic support staff and a permanent legal writing program director. He also shared as an informational item that 82% of the graduates of the College of Law are members of the Florida Bar. In terms of the ABA accreditation, he's indicated that they have switched their visits from the fall of the year to the spring of the year, so the visit will occur in 2019 during the spring. They have also submitted their annual questionnaire to the ABA. In responding to the question to the committee about the admission requirements, he has indicated that there has been no change in the admission requirements at the school. In terms of legal clinics and field placement, he's indicated that they have hired a new director of legal clinics and field placement. He's also indicated that there has been a strong response from the student body to field placement. He's also indicated he's in the process of pursuing placement with several firms in the Orlando area. He's indicated that in his opinion, the law school has a good reputation in the community. He's also indicated that he is beginning to engage with Valencia Community College and the University of Central Florida to look at opportunities to partner with them with the new Valencia UCF downtown campus, which is adjacent to the law school. He's also looking to reestablish ties with the Orlando business community. Yesterday, our chair indicated that he still wants the committee to do a site visit, and for us to, with the help of Trustee Mills, engage the business community and to look at what we could do in terms of economic development, community development, which should be guided by the dean. We will also meet with the faculty. Mr. Chair, this completes the Special Committee on the Law School's report.
Thank you, Trustee Perry. And per Trustee Perry's comment, we did have some discussion yesterday about some slight reframing of the objectives of that particular committee, but we did agree that that committee would continue to operate and that the next step would be a site visit. So we will definitely move forward with that committee. So thank you again, Trustee Perry. Next on the agenda, we move into the consent agenda. Trustees, is there anything that needs to be removed from the consent agenda? Are there any items that need to be added? The three items that I have that need to be removed are, we do need further discussion on refining the president's goals. We decided to remove that from the consent agenda and speak about it separately. We did not gain alignment on the foundation budget on yesterday. We've asked for some rework, so that will be coming forward, so that is removed. We were not able to discuss the Rattler booster budget, so that was removed from the consent agenda, nor were we able to review the booster bylaws, so that was removed from the consent agenda. All other items remain on the consent agenda unless there are other corrections.
Mr. Chair, one question.
Yes.
Just with respect to the Academic and Student Affairs Group, there were a couple of items that were contingent upon review with Vice Chair Kimberly Moore and the Finance Committee.
Okay, so those then...
There were the safety as well as the health, the mental health counseling, the campus safety. We were authorizing to go forward with the current year because there were not additional dollars going to be attached to it. Yep. But the planning after that, they would have to have a conversation with
so they need to be removed from the consent agenda until they...
I don't know that they need to be removed. I just need to make sure it was clear. I think you provided an endorsement yesterday in support of those initiatives.
Yeah, we did, but without the appropriate review of
as long as those motions are reflected accurately, they can remain on the consent agenda.
Contingent upon those reviews, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So they remain on the consent agenda contingent upon the financial review and approval that the dollars exist to implement the mental health plan that Trustee Carter led the discussion on yesterday. Okay? So with that being said, are there any other corrections, additions, deletions to the consent agenda? If not, may I have a motion to approve?
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Motion been made and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. There are no other action items that need to be discussed because we covered literally everything in the consent agenda, and/or we left items that need to be addressed primarily through Trustee Mills and Trustee Dorch into future meetings. At this point, the next item was to have a discussion on performance metrics and organizational alignment and focus. And I feel like we had that discussion to a large extent yesterday with Dr. Eddington, so I don't feel a need to rehash that. But the overarching theme of that discussion, I think, and we all unilaterally agree, is as we set metrics at the top, they need to cascade down so that everyone's on the same page. At this point, we do have a special presentation, and I would like to recognize Dr. William Hudson to present Dr. Williams, our special presenter this morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board.
Morning.
Good morning.
Mr. President.
Sounds good, doesn't
it? It certainly does. Dr. Tanja Williams became St. Pete College's 7th president on July 3rd, 2017. A St. Petersburg native, Dr. Williams began her tenure with the college in 1986, rising through the ranks in a variety of academic and administrative roles. Prior to becoming president, Dr. Williams was senior vice president for student services from 2013 to 2017. She served on nearly every area of the college: provost, associate provost, director of special programs, program coordinator, academic advisor, recruiter, senior accounting clerk, and adjunct faculty. Sounds like my position as well. Dr. Williams earned a PhD in Higher Education Administration from Barry University, a master's degree in counselor education from the University of South Florida, and a bachelor's degree in Business Administration and Humanities from Clearwater Christian College. In 2016, Dr. Williams was awarded the prestigious Aspen Presidential Fellowship for Community College Excellence, making her part of the inaugural class of the Aspen Presidential Fellows. She is a graduate of Leadership Tampa Bay, Leadership St. Pete, the Chancellor's Leadership Program, and the Executive Leadership Program at the University of Florida. Dr. Williams has served in many leadership capacities, including the Florida Chamber Foundation Board Member 2017, AACC Guided Pathways Coach 2015 to 2017, AACC Commission on Academic Student and Community Development Member 2017, and numerous other accolades that I could go on and on. Her awards and recognitions include Pinellas Opportunity Council Community Leadership Award 2017, Weekly Challenger Newspaper Impact Award 2017, National Coalition of 100 Black Women Passing the Torch Leadership Award for Education 2017, Employer Support of Guard and Reserve, affiliate of the Department of Defense Patriot Award 2016, Academic Preparatory School, Five Fabulous Females in 2014, Chamber of Commerce Iconic Woman of the Year finalist for Large Businesses 2013, and many other awards. At this time, I'd like to present to you a great partner of Florida A&M University, and I must say that her husband is a Rattler as well, Dr. Tanja Williams.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, Chairman Lawson. Okay, thank you. Dr. Robinson, the new president of Florida A&M, and esteemed trustees, thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you some exciting work that Dr. Hudson and I have been working on for the last 5 months. I think it's been 5 months, and that's to develop a partnership with St. Petersburg College and Florida A&M. St. Petersburg College has 33,000 students, unduplicated headcount. We have 7 full-service campuses and 4 specialty campuses. And we were the first college in Florida to confer baccalaureate degrees. We offer 20 baccalaureate degrees at St. Petersburg College, and we have a university partnership center that offers master degrees and doctoral degrees. You say, well, why FAMU? Why not FAMU? We have a lot of individuals in our communities who are very interested in coming to Florida A&M and being a Rattler. I believe some of your largest enrollment comes from Pinellas County, or at least a large part of your enrollment comes from Pinellas County. However, we never thought about the students who could not go straight from high school to FAMU, and those students who needed extra help before they came, so you won't have to do all the heavy lifting when they get here. So I'm going to share with you for about 5 minutes. Do I have 5 minutes? Okay. I know there's rules. To share with you a few minutes about what we're doing for this partnership, how will it impact FAMU, how will it impact Pinellas County residents, St. Petersburg College, and our world as a whole, because we know that if you're a FAMU graduate, you're going to make change in this world. I see that every day when I look in my husband's face, so thank you for the work you have done there. I don't have the... Thank you.
The Ignite program is a partnership between St. Petersburg College and FAMU.
Students will start at St. Petersburg College and then transition to Florida A&M University after completing their first 2 years.
Once they arrive at FAMU, they come in as a junior. That will be placed in their upper level courses, and then will only have 2 more years in order to graduate.
A lot of our students come from the St. Pete area, and our partnership with St. Pete College just made practical sense.
We partner with St. Pete College so that our advisors work directly with the advisors at St. Pete College.
We have designated advisors that are Ignite advisors that can communicate with them directly about the program and also have a point person contact for them at FAMU.
They'll be able to connect with us directly while they're here at St. Petersburg College.
Florida A&M University is the home of the Mighty Rattlers. Venom is the passion that we have for our institution. We have a pathway and we call it the Venom Path. They can see from the beginning when they enroll at St. Pete College, their pathway all the way through graduation at Florida A&M. The quicker they graduate, the less money they have to spend.
The Unite program will save students money because the cost of a community college education is probably half that of a Florida university.
Students will be allowed to participate in several events. Some of those events will include football games, basketball games.
They will actually get Ignite FAMU card where they will have access to our events on campus.
Students who are interested in joining the Ignite program are encouraged to meet with their academic advisor here at St. Petersburg College and inform them of their intent to transfer to FAMU. Once they graduate, they're ready. They're ready to go out into the community and find a job and become productive citizens.
We're going to prepare these students for a global economy. We like to see this as just one big family. You're transitioning from your family at St. Pete College to your family at Florida A&M University.
Let FAMU ignite your pathway to your future.
I want to give credit to Dr. Hudson and his team for that work because they did the entire video. And so good job on that. So what will be the benefit to this partnership? So let's talk about that. Perfect. One of the things we know that as a Florida university, we have a lot of work to do on sustaining our credibility and what we do here at the college, but also make sure we have the right budget, we have the right programming, and we have the things that we need going forward. So one of the things that this partnership will do is help with sustainability and make sure that we can look at our real numbers and what's happening to measure our effectiveness, to measure how well our students are prepared, especially when they come from St. Petersburg College to FAMU. As president, I'd like to know that they're ready. I'd like to know that you say, you know what, Tanja, the Titans were ready when they came, and we didn't have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. A part of this partnership will be to prepare them before they get here to be a Rattler, to help them understand the culture, the expectations, and make sure that they have the right courses when they get here so that they don't have to start over to earn a degree that your native students who started from the beginning have. I think also, other than better preparing them, it's exposing them and getting them excited about having a Rattler degree. We have a lot of students where hope is deferred, dreams are deferred, and they don't get to see it. And so there's a lot that FAMU has to offer for our residents so that they can be better than they are now and have a different experience than at home. Not all students want to stay home. You guys know that. Oh, yeah. And so sometimes community colleges are looked at as a 13th grade. And so a good educator will say, look, you don't have to stay here. You can go be a Rattler. Let me tell you how great it is. Let me bring you to FAMU. Let me show you what's there so that they'll have hope to say, okay, let me get through some of the remedial work. Let me get through some of this hard stuff so that I can be a Rattler. So that's our job, is to propel, promote, and get them here so that they're successful. And I think that that's good for you than to have students who come who may be underprepared or unprepared. We want everyone to succeed, but not everyone is ready for four-year college right off the rip. So we'll be able to get them prepared and easily transfer them over. The other thing we found is that a lot of our students are taking too many classes that don't match their degree. Now, that may not happen at FAMU, but it has definitely happened at St. Petersburg College and many colleges on a national circuit. And so the purpose of the pathway is to actually help them choose a career and get them on the right path. I think if you go back and look at our education, you'll find that we wasted some classes and some time on courses that we didn't need. And so the other purpose is to make sure that they get that. So you're saying, well, Tanja, what are the programs? So these are the programs that we have decided to partner on up front: accounting, biology, criminal justice, health sciences, and journalism. These are also programs that we don't really offer at St. Petersburg College. And these are programs that our students are interested in earning degrees. So we could send them to USF, but there are some students who need to be a Rattler. They want to be a Rattler. Their brother or their sister has had that opportunity, or an uncle or a cousin, but they just don't see a way of doing that. And not all parents have the money to be prepared those first 2 years. So it gives parents a little bit more time to get their money straight, get the students' grades right, and get them here. So what's before you is the actual transfer plan for journalism. I think that's the one they chose, for journalism. And it is intricate, it is detailed, it is laid out for the student. There's no guesswork. There's no concerns. We've met with you. We found out these are the courses that will apply. They will be accepted, and the student will come in as a junior. There will be no second guessing for them, no concerns, and they'll be ready to rock and roll. So you might say, well, tell us how you're going to do this. So at St. Petersburg College, we've been working on academic pathways for the last 5 years. And with that, we have a step-by-step, day-by-day, term-by-term path for students, not just for the students, but for the employee and their role. So what you see in front of you is the student onboarding process and the actual path. So when a student shows interest in 24 hours, they're to get a call from an SPC person. If they submit an app within 24 hours, they get a call and they're pulled through that funnel. After the app is done, there's certain dates and information that goes out. Well, we'll create that same map for the Ignite program for a FAMU student. If you come to SPC, you want to be a FAMU student, you go this route, and then here are the steps. And so the other piece about this roadmap is that we measure what we do. We monitor it. We have a scorecard that we look at every other week that says how many students who are on the Ignite map are still enrolled, how many are struggling in class, how many went to tutoring, how many are doing this, because it really is the hand-holding and pulling them through the funnel. The folks who need to go to tutoring are the ones who won't go, right? I mean, that happens at St. Pete. But here we're saying if you want to be an Ignite, and you want to be a Rattler, this is week 3 and you've already failed your first quiz. Here's where you have to go. And so what Dr. Hudson and I will do is create a similar map for FAMU Rattlers. The other piece on the map is what's underneath each box. Each box that you see takes it all the way down to the communication to the student, so that we know who didn't call their student. We didn't know if they got it on the right date or time. We know exactly what's going on with that map. This is the advising flow and what they do when they do case management, where they have students who are struggling. We won't wait till they struggle. We use predictive analytics. And so we find out, you know, Tanja, when you're in high school, you didn't take college algebra, didn't do this. We know you're going to struggle in algebra, so let's go ahead and get you on a success plan. The other piece at FAMU when we work on this map is some students are going to say, I want to be in journalism. But then they get to the classes and say, I don't like it. And they switch majors. So we have career and academic communities. So instead of saying journalism, I want to be in communications. And then we're going to expose them to every role in communications so that they can decide in the shadowing opportunity, I liked it, I didn't. I'm going to go back, I'm going to try biology. Then we're going to expose them to all of biology. So those are our 10 career and academic communities where students will be engaged in every job that they can take in that area so they don't waste their time, money, and talent. So what's the advantage for the student? One, they get to reach their dreams. They get to be a Rattler. That's what they want to be. They're not going to be happy being a USF Bull if they want to be a Rattler. It's just not, they're not going to be happy. I'm just saying. And so they're going to be happy that they can do this. Second, we use an online process. And I believe that we'll be mapping that all the way to Florida A&M as well, so that the student does not have to go in for everything. I think that, you know, technology is disruptive, but if it's used correctly, it can ease the work of the student. It can keep students here and make sure we don't lose them in trying to give them what they're here to get. Shorter time to completion. They'll have a streamlined roadmap. They won't have to guess. We've talked about that. Scholarships. We were able to get a 50,000, I think it was 25 or $50,000 from Verizon. I believe FAMU got their end of the stick on that. And we'll also be able to do some scholarships together and some partnerships and grant writing together as a team. I found out from our trustee about Verizon giving the money, and Devron Gibbons, and you guys all probably know him.
Yeah.
He said, you know, we need to tell FAMU to do it too. They can get some money. And so it's working. And so I think together, sister institutions will be able to capture some funding and some opportunities as a team. Access to the games. I know I'm not a rattler, but I am married to one. And it is serious business. So access to the events, to step shows, to really see what the college life is like and to be engaged is something that a St. Pete College Titan would never dream of. It's something they've never seen, they've never experienced, and it's very exciting. I hope that the access that the students get in Ignite will be above and beyond the games and the parties. I think they need to see the academia and the faculty and the quality of instruction that FAMU has to offer. I just sat next to, oh, he's gone. He was the business, I think he's the business dean, and he gave me a lesson while I was sitting there. Dr. Ashley, okay, he gave me a lesson while I was sitting there. So I already know you have good instructors and things of that nature, but they need to be exposed to more than the activities as well. They need to be exposed to the education, to the pride that you instill in your students that my husband carries around every day. I'm a rattler. You know, we don't do that. We learned it. I'm like, oh, okay. You're right. And then the opportunity for internships and study abroad. SBC has a very large study abroad program where we visit various areas, and it would be good to link up with you so that we could do some combined opportunities. It'll save us money. It'll expose students to students and give us more experience and promotion. Plus, you get more students coming in, so it increases enrollment. So we've done a couple of things so far. I know that our relationship has been very short, but we've added a website page to St. Pete College's website. I've held a minister's breakfast where we invited all the ministers of Pinellas County. Didn't know we had that many, but we gave them church fans, and I believe oh, you have one. Okay. So we gave we gave them church fans, and we're looking for other ways to expose the partnership, to make sure, wouldn't it be nice for a parishioner who's hot in church to fan and say, oh, you know, my child, my grandchild can go to FAMU. We've had one information session, need to do a much better job of recruiting for it. I think we had about 15, 20, 35 interested individuals. I mean, that's still good for a good start. We haven't hit the north part of the county yet. We have now deemed 7 employees as the Ignite advisors. And we have flyers for you as well to show who those individuals are. And then we'll build that roadmap going forward. Mm-hmm. So what do we get as institutions? Dr. Hudson and I have already scheduled some time for us to share data, information, processes, and codes. We found out that both institutions are PeopleSoft institutions. We've been utilizing PeopleSoft for about 15 years. And we have a lot of things already built out, already put together. We have a business intelligence system where I'm going to have Dr. Hudson just go in and look, and he can dig for information himself, do his own searches, and build his own information. And we can share that code with Florida A&M at no cost, so that you can get your own business intelligence system up, where Dr. Hudson can come to a meeting like this, and Dr. Robinson say, tell me how many African American males we have between the ages of 18 and 25. There it is. And you can pull it up and see it. We also talked about some best practices on processes and face-to-face faculty meetings, and looking at the handoff to make sure that SBC faculty are teaching the right way so that when the students come here, they're prepared. We know we have in our head what the courses may be, but it may not quite match what you have in your mind. And I believe that we'll be able to develop a lot of collaborations and a lot of webinars that we can have like positions together to work on different strategies, ideas, and initiatives. We also talked about doing co-presentations at a lot of the major conferences and things of that nature to get us out on the map. SPC has been so excited about the Ignite program. You guys have already put a banner together for us to take back, which is a touch of class. I saw it and thought, wow, I've got to get some of those made. And he said, no, you can take that with you. So that's even more exciting for us. And so we're going to work this for a long time. We're going to make this successful. And we'll be able to come back to say, this semester, you now have 50 new transfers from St. Pete College through the Ignite program. So we're really pleased and very excited. So what are our next steps? We talked about the streamlined processes. Well, it's not on there, sorry. Our next steps, we really want to make sure that the processes are streamlined and seamless. I'm not sure how admissions and things work at FAM, but we want to make sure what we do at SPC matches what you do. And so we'll bring those best practices together. We'll learn from you and we'll integrate things together to make it work. We need to create a strong communication plan so that whatever the FAMU team says, we want to make sure St. Pete College is saying it as well, that we're not contradicting each other or going in the wrong direction. I want to be very, very careful in not offering this type of agreement with another HBCU. I want to focus on FAMU right now. We've already been asked to do a few others, and we're going to hold on that for now. And let's get this rolling and get this moving in the right direction. And we need to make sure we put together a report for you. So whatever data we collect, we want to make sure FAM collects, and whatever FAM wants us to collect, we'll collect, so that we can bring a comprehensive data so you can see from the time they started at SPC to the time they hit your doors what those look like. So I think you can tell by my voice and my energy that I'm very excited about this, very proud, and not to say my cheerleader at home. He's just ecstatic about that. And it's been has received such good feedback that the alumni of FAM and Pinellas are starting to get back together. They want to be a part of this. They want to help people make this move and get to Florida A&M. So I want to thank you so much for the partnership. I want to thank you for the opportunity. And the decision that you made this morning is the best decision you could have made. I'm very proud and very pleased to be partnering with Dr. Robinson, the permanent president of Florida A&M. Thank you, and I don't know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. And tell my freshman brother Derek, your husband, I said hello.
I will. I
Right.
will.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, if
Yes,
I might,
please.
I just want to make, a couple of quick comments. First of all, as Dr. Hudson was reading your vita, I was just so glad that our board had the vote before then. For them to change their mind. But look, I remember the first conversation we had about this. It was nothing about anything other than let's get it done. So you've been there from the beginning. I just want to let you know how much I appreciate that. I've called several presidents about these 2+2 arrangements, and I've seen a lot of enthusiasm from several of them. But the level that you showed and that you're demonstrating today, I think bodes well for a very successful partnership between our institutions. And so we're very, very proud to be part of this, and I think it's going to do great work for the students, in this partnership. And I also want to thank, because, it does, I think, there are a lot of people been working on this, right? I want to thank Dr. Hudson and his team for what they've done, but I need to also thank Trustee Washington for really lighting that fire under us and keeping it lit. And of course, there's a gentleman on your board, that deserves some credit as
Trustee
well.
Ewens.
Yes, he has been quite enthusiastic and excited about this, and I'm so glad to see us at this point in such a relatively short order. Right? I mean, it takes time for these things to develop, but I think we worked through some of the red tape, and this one is moving along just well. So thank you again for your enthusiasm and commitment to it, and I think we're going to open some doors for a lot of students.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you again for making the trip. We really enjoyed the presentation. Okay, we're in the home stretch, team. The last item on the agenda is a presentation that the provost will orchestrate, and the background or the backdrop for this is this board is taking professional passage rates very serious, to the point that we have asked academic affairs to literally have for us a presentation at every meeting from a dean to talk about what they're doing in their specific area of focus to drive higher levels of passage rates in our professional licensure programs. So with that being said, we're asking Provost Wright to orchestrate, I believe we have 3 presentations this morning.
We do have 3 this morning. It's good morning, Chairman Lawson, and members of the board of trustees, and our new president, Dr. Larry Robinson. It's a pleasure to present 3 deans this morning. The first of which is Dean Murray Gibson from the College of Engineering, FAMU FSU College of Engineering, who will give you an update on the College of Engineering. I don't believe you've had one in quite some time. And then followed by 2 presentations, one by, again, an additional update on the licensure strategies that both the College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences is making, as well as the School of Allied Health Sciences. That'll be presented, the College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences will be presented by Interim Dean Seth Blorderby, and also the School of Allied Health Sciences will be presented by Dean Cynthia Hughes Harris. So if we might. All right.
Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm honored to be here. I'm Murray Gibson, the Dean of the FAMU FSU College of Engineering, and I want to give you a brief update on the college. While we're a professional field, engineering, we don't have a licensure-related direct thing, but many of our engineers go on to get professional engineering licenses if they're going in that direction. So first, it's an honor to be here, particularly on this day, and I want to congratulate President Robinson, and I'm very excited about the possibility of his leadership in the future, because engineering, I think, has a tremendous amount to offer to FAMU, and I would love to see FAMU's role in our college grow. I'd like to hand out a they are shown, a couple of them are shown on the front there. You can also get them online. Let me talk a little bit about the college briefly. What makes us special? We're unique in this country. There is no other shared college of engineering like this. And while we've had a long and complex history, I think people have not really recognized enough how powerful this unique partnership is. And that's what attracted me to take this job about 1.5 years ago. So this slide is supposed to summarize that. Look on the left-hand side. What FAMU, each institution brings something. The other one, they're overlapping in their missions, but they're distinct. FAMU brings some really unique things to the college. It's number 3 in the nation in producing bachelor's degrees for African Americans who go on to get PhDs in engineering. That's very significant. FAMU is number 3 overall in improving the social mobility of its graduates. I often point this out to people. Harvard is number 468. So almost every student who graduates from FAMU benefits in terms of socioeconomic. That's a pretty significant accomplishment. On the other hand, what FSU brings is one of the nation's approximately 100 highest research activity universities. Every single Carnegie highest research activity is what's called a PWI, a primarily white institution. So this partnership produces something that doesn't exist anywhere else. It gives FAMU as an HBCU an advantage that other HBCUs don't have in terms of research. It gives FSU the ability to educate a very diverse population of students beyond that any other Research One university can do. As a result of this, we have the highest graduate ranking of any HBCU. Number 123, we're the only numbered graduate school amongst HBCUs. There are 15 accredited programs. And we can do many other unique things, and I think we can do much better. We've done great, but we could do so much better, and there's so much potential. So this slide is designed to show one example of our recent successes. It shows two grants that we received. One of them through FAMU on the right is a $5 million contract from Lockheed Martin to be part of the mission to Mars. This is a precursor to the mission to Mars. And that played into the strength of our High Performance Materials Institute, which is a top research institute in composite materials, which is actually an FSU research institute, but it's populated entirely by FAMU FSU faculty who do all of the critical work and bring in the money. That same institute raised a $5 million grant, primarily through FSU, from NASA in a totally nationally competitive way, the first of two so-called space technology research institutes to work in the same field. No one else could have done both of these things. And the pictures at the top show you on the left is The Martian, the movie many of you may have seen, which is potentially going to be feasible thanks to this kind of research in 20 or 30 years. On the right is meant to be a tribute to Hidden Figures. But last year, our college graduated through FAMU 3 African-American PhD females in engineering. There are only 60 graduating in the entire United States. Wow. And we could do much better. We could do much better by focusing on this uniqueness that we have done, I think, not as well as we could have. So that's another example of this is a $5 million recent grant from the National Science Foundation for a Center for Complex Materials Design to FAMU that leverages the college's unique research, but also connects with the School of Pharmacy. So this is focused on nanomaterials and the fabrication of nanomaterials, and one of the aspects is biological. So Professor Sachdeva from pharmacy was a big partner in this grant. So we're benefiting, and we could do a lot more of this interdisciplinary collaboration as well in the future. Here are some numbers. On the right-hand side, you see the overall numbers in the college. On the left-hand side, you see FAMU numbers. So look at the enrollment. We have 22,052 undergraduates, of only 340 are FAMU. I would like to see that number grow. We can grow that number. We did grow it by 5% this year, whereas the overall growth is only about 3%, but we need to put a lot of resources into recruiting, and the recent presentation on Community College Ignite is one example of how we can prepare engineering students to be successful. But one of the good things that you can see already happening is our graduate enrollment went up 15% this year at FAMU, and this is intentional. We're focusing on this, and we want to grow that significantly more. Our research expenditures went up overall 5%, but at FAMU they went up 31% in 1 year. That's because we're focusing on leveraging the uniqueness to benefit both ourselves and FAMU. So I expect to see a lot more of that. We also, as mentioned, graduated 4 PhD students out of a total of 31. I want to see that grow. We have about a third of our faculty are at FAMU, and I'll say more about that later.
Excuse me.
One of the reasons our undergraduate enrollment went up is because our retention is improving. That's what the bullets at the bottom show. And we're also developing new programs that are attractive to students, such as biomedical engineering. Okay, so this is a bit of history. On the left-hand side is a list of all of the engineering schools who produce bachelor's degrees in engineering in the United States that produce African-American graduates based on the number. So the number 1 is North Carolina A&T. They have moved up in the last number of years. We used to be number 1. In 1999, we were number 1, and we produced 142 graduates, bachelor's degrees from FAMU. Today, we're producing, you see, we're number 13. That is a reflection of the fact our FAMU enrollment has not grown, while FSU's enrollment has grown substantially, and that's why we only have 15% of our students now are FAMU students. We want to change that. We desperately want to change that because the partnership, without that special aspect that the FAMU brings, the partnership won't be successful. And the partnership brings something to both institutions. It's a win-win situation, in my opinion. And I think the senior leadership in both institutions also appreciate that. What you can see on the right is just one example of how we can help FAMU. The graph shows PhD production over the last number of years. The blue is FAMU. We're down at about 4. It was down to 0 about 5 years ago. And you can probably guess why it's fluctuated with all of the history of what's happened in the college. Our overall PhD production is up there. I can't see it from here, but something like close to 30 exceeds the entire production of PhDs from FAMU today. That's the gray line. We could double the production of PhDs from FAMU just by intentionally recruiting more students at the PhD level. And remember, graduate education is one thing that really distinguishes us from all other HBCUs. Most of them have very few PhD programs. For reasons that aren't fair, they struggle with teaching loads, with infrastructure. We have the advantage of leveraging FSU, and we have faculty who are given the time to do research that we can really do things other people can't do for FAMU, at FAMU, and that's what I want to see happen. So I'm sorry, I got a lot of view graphs here, but I'll try to skip through some of them. The other byproduct of our partnership, which is unique, is the diversity of our college. That's shown in this graph here. We have the most diverse ranked College of Engineering in the country. We have 20% African American students, 20% Hispanic. This is coming from the combination of FSU and FAMU. No other national institution, certainly no other leading ranked institution has this kind of diversity. This is really important because companies want engineers who know how to work in cross-cultural teams, because that's the world we live in. And they haven't traditionally been that way. Most engineers, the majority are white male. So this is something we can sell to students both at FAMU and FSU as a unique aspect of the experience. And talking to alums, for many years they've understood that coming to FAMU, you get the ability to be an HBCU student with that nurturing environment. And then you get to work in the college where you work in teams that are very cross-cultural. Nowhere else can you have that experience. We should be able to attract the best African American students in the country to come here, recognizing they can get something they can't get at any other HBCU or any PWI. Mm-hmm. So we've got a great story to tell, and I need help in telling that story, because recruiting, for example, as we know, is getting the message out as an exciting message to students and to families and to alums about how valuable this experience is. We are recruiting faculty this year. We have 10 positions that were provided. And you see on the right, I'll skip over the details, we've done a lot of strategic planning for technical areas, which you can find in that report, that we think we can grow to strengthen our research at FAMU FSU. So that's listed on the right, and we advertise in a number of magazines. A message I want to get across that's really critical for FAMU is FSU got additional funding this year through the preeminence funding in the state legislature, which only went to the top universities to hire more faculty, and they're giving us some of that money so we can hire faculty. We need to grow on the FAMU side as well. And the only way we can do that is to support this joint college integrated advancement. This is an LBR that we requested last year. We received $1 million out of $7 million. That was our request. We're asking again for $6 million. This is going to enable us to grow on both the FAMU and FSU side, which I think is critical to sustain the partnership. And that's just summarized here in the view graph shows something about our budget. We have a shared budget, which is now $14.4 million, which comes through FSU but is entirely spent in the college. In the past, it came through FAMU and was spent within the college. You can see on the top right, that money is more or less 50% spent between FAMU and FSU on staff and faculty salaries. So that is a budget that is truly shared. But on top of that budget, FSU over the years has given voluntarily a supplemental budget, which is now $8.5 million, which has allowed us to hire more faculty, but of course they're FSU faculty, which is great for the college and great for FAMU too. But my concern is we need to also be hiring at FAMU the top faculty in order that we can develop the strength of the partnership. And that will only happen if we can increase the shared budget. And so that's my plea to you, is to help I appreciate very much the support of the President and others. We have a request in this year for an LBR. This is critically important for the long-term health of the college, to prevent it becoming more and more an FSU college and losing its uniqueness, which would actually be a loss for both FSU and FAMU. One thing I was asked to mention is that we received additional funding of $1.2 million last year, and a good part of that money has gone to correct the inequity in salaries that have emerged over the years for faculty and staff. And this view graph explains a little bit about how I did that. I'd be happy to answer questions about that. Process is still going on, but we've already made some increments to bring average salaries into the same level. And we're also looking at merit-based performance analysis of our faculty to consider additional adjustments. But the difference it's corrosive for us. We need, I've recognized in my time here that it's great for our students to be Rattlers and Knowles and to love only one institution, because that's what makes it so strong. But in the college, we have to have a level playing field where faculty and staff and students, there are no distinctions, there are no barriers. So clearly salary, doing the same job and not getting the same salary is a fundamentally unfair thing. We have to sustain that over the coming years, and that's where this additional LDR will be critical. We're again thanking President Robinson and others for support. We have a request now for a new building, which has been on the cards for about 15 years. It's back on the list. In fact, it made it to the A list of the Board of Governors. It's a 104,000 net square foot building at our campus, which is equidistant from FSU and FAMU. This building is required just to serve our current enrollment. And so that we're also requesting some funding this year for the planning process. I also wanted to mention something about our organization. Many of you, certainly in the FAMU administration, know very well Dr. Reginald Perry, who has been Associate Dean for Curriculum and Student Success for the last 14 years. He's stepping down in this coming year after many, many years doing this job, and I want to thank him very much. He's been a really important player in the college. And I've created 2 new positions to fill his shoes, one of which is a faculty affairs dean, and the other is an undergraduate affairs dean. So to finish up then, these are what I see as the biggest challenges and opportunities that relate to what I see as leadership at FAMU. We must recruit, retain, and graduate more students through FAMU. And I can tell you, I'm totally behind this. We're trying. We made some progress, but we've got a ways to go. And I think I need a lot of help, not just financial help, but also I think a message which isn't out there amongst people, alum and so on, is that if they're not engineering alums, is that the college is going to help FAMU. This is a great, I believe, and this college can be greatly helping empower FAMU's rankings, its research reputation. We can build connections with other colleges, which I very much want to do, to benefit much more broadly. It's got so much potential to do more than it's done. One thing that inhibits our recruiting, and I know I've heard so many things about President Humphrey's success in recruiting and engineering in the 1990s. He was very effective. One of the things he had was a lot of money. And money at that time probably is different from the amount of money you need today. But we are losing the best students. Top African-American engineering students are very much in demand. Many universities want to give them great scholarships. We have to tell the story, number one, that we have something to offer here that you will not find anywhere else, as I told you earlier. And secondly, we will need to match some of these scholarships. So that's where corporate funding and philanthropy and some federal and other types of funding is so critical for us. And finally, the LBR is really a critical thing to secure the ability to strengthen this partnership, which naturally is, you might say, gets biased by the fact that FSU has access to a lot more resources, being a larger, preeminent university. And it's critical for the college that we retain the balance, because I think this uniqueness we have will attract a lot of funding. I'm already beginning to see that, as I showed you, from corporations, from the federal government, who are looking for ways to change the equation with diversity. And I've been in the research and education for almost 40 years in the United States, and been in many places. And I think the big gap that needs to be bridged is between research universities and minority-serving institutions, and nowhere else. We can do things that no one else can do to bridge that gap. There's been a lot of attention to that. A lot of money is given to PWIs to invest in HBCUs, but most of it, to be honest, is kind of wallpaper. This is real traction. We really are a shared institution, and we need to build on that to benefit FAMU and to benefit FSU. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm happy to answer questions.
Yes. Are there questions for?
First of all, Dr. Gibson, thank you very much for your presentation. I have to tell you, I mean, you haven't been here very long, but I am incredibly impressed of how you fully embrace this partnership. And it's complicated, right? And that's partly because of its uniqueness. And in many respects, we're all trying to figure that out, and you're doing a great job of leading the way, I have to say. A quick question on some of the recruiting items, and it's simple, I think, but do we have bridge programs for junior and senior high school?
We have some. We do have some programs. We have a program that Dr. Shonda Bernardin runs in high schools, and in the past we've had more. We don't have enough.
Yeah,
and that's a very important area for us to connect with the high schools.
I notice as I'm in this college search for my own kids, many of the schools will have these summer programs for between junior and senior, and then bridge programs between senior and college. And they're doing that's their primary recruiting effort as well.
Point.
Are there other? Thank you, Trustee Mills. Are there other? Trustee Moore?
Thank you. I would echo the same sentiments. Great job. I love how you understand the missions of both institutions, yet embrace it as one complete mission. So thank you for that. I wanted to hear more from you relative to what does our recruiting efforts look like now? Because you're right, it's this crown jewel, and how do we garner more support to make sure that it is known that this is a great place to land and the opportunities that will open up later for these students?
Thank you for the question. And I would distinguish the graduate and undergraduate. The graduate, in a sense, is easier, and I think we can get traction more rapidly. And so, because we're one of the only HBCUs that offers PhD programs in engineering. So for example, in the CREST grant that was recently received, we have specifically reached out to other HBCUs that do not have graduate programs and gone on visits to get students. So I think that's going to be, it's not easy, but that's easier. At the undergraduate level, I think we have a position open now for a recruiter who would focus within the college, because I know from my past experience, the university is doing a great job, but the college needs to be more involved in the recruiting efforts. That's kind of the message you get from a lot of universities because we can sell the story to someone who's thinking engineering, and we need to partner. So there's a lot of support within FAMU. We're also building up our own recruiting staff. We're also facing the problem. Dr. Perry showed me an interesting statistic. If you go back 10 years, the college has recruited 40%, the college overall, both FAMU and FSU, 40% of all African American engineering students enrolled in SUS universities. That number has been fairly constant. It tells you two things. There aren't that many engineers in Florida who are many African Americans going into engineering. It also tells you we need to look outside the state in order to grow our enrollment, as well as growing it within Florida. So both of these things are things that we're starting to, getting the story out. I mean, developing the story, branding ourselves. You'll notice we have the two logos. I spent a lot of time with help from Kathy Times and also her counterpart at FSU, realizing that we need the message to come across that we are two universities. And so we decided the only way to do that was with two logos. But that whole story, we weren't standing up as a college before I came and saying, we are a shared college. The history of this college is that in the last 5 years, it wasn't obvious to people that was the case. So getting the message out to a broad audience about what the college is really a part of it. And that's this kind of publicity you see is something we started this last year, and we're focusing a lot of that on recruiting.
Thank you. Thank you for your efforts.
Very welcome. Thank you. Trustee Moore,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I have.
Yes, Trustee Grable.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank you for your presentation as well. Clearly, there is a focus on making sure that there is equality between the two schools. And I hope that board members heard very clearly, and let me make sure I got those statistics right. Did you say there was a 5 to 10% salary
There had been, yes.
difference?
Correct.
Okay, and this is our crown jewel trustees. This is at the highest levels. These are very highly trained people. And the fact that this particular discipline is facing that type of salary difference, which goes back to that workload study I was discussing yesterday. This is not unusual. This has gone on for quite some time. And it's not really just the certainly not the current administration, but the history is what we have to understand that's limited the salary parity across the SUS for FAMU faculty who has worked hard over the years to help create the outstanding reputation of Florida A&M University. We must try to take a look at this and address this issue. This is really a very good example example of a subset within the school that suggests we need to give some serious thought to what is going on in terms of parity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Trustee Grable.
If I could
Sure.
Could add to that, our college is, as I say, is unique, and within FAMU we have much lower teaching loads. Our college has established the typical footprint of a research active, which is where I think FAMU wants to move. It requires a lot more resources because you need a lot more teachers. And you cannot have faculty spend a lot of time on research if they're teaching 6 or 8 courses a year. So as part of the effort to become a research-oriented university, one has to understand that. One also has to understand that once you have research active engineering faculty, there's a market out there. I mean, and so, for us, it's critical. This is a field where the salaries are higher in the first place, and for research faculty, it's really critical. So I do appreciate getting support from President Robinson to be able to use the money that we got from the state to correct this. And in the past, it's been done before. We are a somewhat special case because we are highly research active, as you heard from my presentation. College, more typical of what you find in a top-ranked institution, in the top 100 nationally. And we have to reward all of our faculty, FAMU or FSU, equally within that context, or we will not stay in that place. And having FAMU faculty be different somehow from FSU is not a key to success for this college. It's all about the partnership and the equality that we have to focus on. But thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you for the presentation. Provost Wright, I believe that pharmacy is next. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chairman Lawson, members of the board, the new president, congratulations. About 2.5 months ago, I came before the board and I told you some of the difficulties we had and some of the plans that we are making, or at the time we're making, to correct some of the deficiencies that had been noted. And so today, what I wanted to do is to provide you a kind of formative assessment of how the plan had gone so far. And in doing that, I want to focus on 4 areas. I will talk about the results of the most recent licensure examination. And then I would give you an action plan of how we can continue to improve on that. And then I'll tell you also about the accreditation site visit that we had in October. And I'll give you a few accomplishments in the College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. What I will not do is to ask you for money to do anything that we need to do.
Okay. Music to my ears.
So what are the steps that we have taken to address the low board scores? Well, I mentioned September 15th that we were looking at the curriculum gap analysis that identified areas that our students were not performing well in, and that we were exposing the students to those missing competences. We have been doing that. We have instituted board reviews throughout the final year, from the very first day of class till the end of the 4th year. We have asked for a 2-day board preparation workshop that all the P4 students, the final year students, were supposed to attend, and they did. And moving forward, we had another 2-day workshop which was conducted by a very well-known review company called High Yield Med Reviews, and that occurred June 2nd to 3rd. And the way that happened was the students had already gone home, they had graduated, and so we needed to bring them back to campus to participate in that workshop. And as you know, we couldn't use funds directly from the university to do that. So we called on the National Diamondback Pharmacy Alumni Association or Council, and yes, they gave us a lot of money to bring about 120 students back to the campus to participate in that workshop. And I want you to help me say thank you to our alumni in doing that. The timing of the workshop we consider to be very important. When students are preparing to graduate and you tell them about preparing for the board, that is not priority number one. And so the only time that we thought we could bring the students in and they will focus on preparing for the board will be after they have graduated. And that poses challenges in the future that I will sure bring before the provost and the president as to how we can resolve something like that. The other thing we did was to provide the students with what we call pre-NAPLEX vouchers. These vouchers allow the students to actually take an exam, and that exam we know correlates very well with passing the board. And it's in the excess of 99%. So we gave those vouchers to the students and made sure that if you took that exam and for any reason you don't pass it, find out where you haven't done well and prepare for those in those areas before you go back to take the board. And we did that this past year. So what did that do for us then? Well, you remember that our first-time pass rate last year was 62.8%. After we've gone through the plan that we have provided, I can confirm that we had a score of 83%, a 20.5% increase in the passage rate. That is special. I don't know how I can explain it to you to know that that is a big turnaround. Because nobody expected that that was going to happen. And so I want to thank my faculty. I want to thank the president and the provost for the support they have given us to have these workshops that turn things around. Well, the implication here is that the plan is working. And we want to do even more in order to move even towards the stated goal of being at the average or the first-time rate that the national average scores last year of about 90%. So that's where we want to be. 90% has been our goal. We are at 83% now, and we hope we can improve on that moving forward. So these are the targets that we sent to our accrediting body. We thought we were going to score about 80% this time, and we had 83%. And we thought next year we will be at 85. I'm feeling that we can change that to 90 next year, and subsequently to over 90 moving forward. So what are we doing long term to sustain this and make it better? The first thing is the curriculum. We have taken a look at the curriculum, and we have launched a new curriculum this fall. And we are implementing that curriculum in the first year. And we hope that by some of the things we have done, the students will fare better. For example, we have now intentionally sequenced the curriculum so that across the first year, the students are getting reinforcement from one class to the other. In the same vein, we are scheduling or we are sequencing the courses so that as we move from one year to the other, we are reinforcing some of the things that are necessary as we move forward. We had a lot of discussion regarding admissions and how we should deal with admissions. And the faculty has now voted that we include the science GPA as one of the matrices for admission. This was not done just because we wanted to do that. We have done an assessment that has told us that the science GPAs correlate better than anything else with the passing of the board. And so beginning from next year, we expect to include the science GPA as one of the matrices for admission. We have been looking at course delivery and trying to use new methods with which we can deliver the courses so that students can actually remember what they learn from one class to the other. Again, assessment has shown that many times our students, they learn the thing for 1 year and they push it back and move on as if that had never occurred. And we want to change that. We want to find ways by which we can get them involved. So all our first year courses in this new curriculum, we have recitation classes. So after they had had the didactic lectures, they go to the recitation classes and get further exposure and utilize some of the new techniques in answering questions there as well. One of the problems we had last year was that our students were not very familiar with the new format for the board exams. We are changing that now. From the very first year, the exams that we give students will reflect exactly the format that is used by the board exams. And we are working on that right now. We have also selected a software that is called ExamSoft, which costs us a lot of money, but it's important. This ExamSoft allows us to correlate the competencies with the scores that the students have. What that does is that over a period of time, we are going to be able to go to the program and extract all the areas that the students may not be performing well, all the competencies that they may not have mastered. We'll be able to pull those out and then do remediation for the students as we move forward. And we are collecting assessment data to be able to do that. The other thing that particular software does is that it allows the faculty to write their exams exactly the same way that the NAPLEX or the board exam is formatted. We have also instituted a mid-semester early warning system that identifies students who may not be performing well and would like to call those students in and find ways by which they can be helped. We have already purchased the software that we used last year, and that will be used this year as well. The pre-NAPLEX vouchers will be purchased again for this year. We found that to be very useful. And then we are implementing a faculty development program that will help faculty to move forward a little bit from where we have been. And one of the things that will be done is that the association that sets the board exam, we have contacted them and they will come here and train our faculty on how to write the exams exactly the same way that they do. And we have retained a consultant who conducts many of these training, and they will come here and help us as well. So I told you we had accreditation site visit, and that was October 31st to November 2nd. And when we first met the officials, they had some concerns coming in. And that was the reason why they were coming, to find out what we were doing. So, whilst we don't have the official report yet, well, I can tell you when they were leaving, when we had the exit interview, they were very pleased with what we had presented them, and they informed us that there were no adverse findings. And that, we have to be very pleased with that. Well, they had indicated in many ways that they would want to monitor some of the new things we are doing, which means that, well, they may ask us to send some reports from time to time to tell them how we were performing on this new curriculum, especially. We still have the organization of the college, since we don't have a permanent dean in the college, and we may have to provide some information to them as a result of that. But they did tell us that they don't expect to see us until 2022, which means that we would have our full-term accreditation without any difficulties. From all indications, I can report today that we had an extremely well accreditation site visit, and we were very pleased with that. Now, what I want to do is to recognize some of the good things my faculty have done. It would take just about a minute. This is important because these are the folks who do the work, and I want to recognize them. We have two of our faculty members who received the Distinguished Researcher Award this year, all from the College of Pharmacy. I think I have to brag on them a little bit in that regard. Dr. Solomon has been named the Thomson Reuters IP and Science 2016 Highly Cited Researcher. That is big. We have two of our faculty members who were tapped to serve on the National Institute of Health study sessions. Now, if you want grants, you better be serving on these study sessions, because if you are not there, you are not at the table. And one of our faculty members is one of three, Dr. Murray had mentioned that already, to receive that NSF grant for about $5 million. And another member of the faculty has just signed a licensing agreement to develop new drugs for the treatment of schizophrenia. And if you want to leave here early, please don't ask any questions about that. And finally, Dr. Ariaku has been inducted into the FAMU Sports Hall of Fame, and we are very proud of him. Thank you for listening, and I will entertain any questions.
Dean, thank you. Good presentation and solid progress. It's just one question for me, and there may be others. What would it take to get us to the national average sooner?
Well, I believe that we have put sufficient in place to do that next year. That's my estimate. But it will also take a few more dollars than we have invested this year for that to happen. And I will be glad to provide those estimates.
All joking aside, I think we'd like to see that, because I think that we all believe that our students can perform at the national average. I think you're recruiting as good as anyone else in the country, and therefore we believe, I think collectively, that they should perform at the national average. So I would be interested, Provost Wright, in seeing, barring getting, kicked under the table for the budget chair, I would like to see at least what that looks like to get us to the national average.
So, in lieu of getting kicked in the butt by the two of them, I'm going to say when we always start with how much more and not what can we repurpose, or starting from zero and making sure that it's not just adding more dollars, because that doesn't always solve the problem. It's what is, there's a number of things that he's managed to do here that cost money, but he's managed to find the dollars. So instead of just saying how much more, it's like, what does the picture look like? And then how do we make the best of the funds, that we have? I will say that I think you've done amazing things within your current budget. I don't know if there's more to be saved or repurposed, but I really caution us to start with how much more, because it's not like we didn't plant money trees. So just thinking about, we have to be cognizant and financial stewards of our priority areas.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Thank you, Trustee Washington.
I would echo yet again amazing work that's been done. I don't want to lose that in our other conversation on that, because when we talked about this some time ago, we were down in the dumps, and in terms of our feelings and being hurt and all of that with where we were. And the fact that we have made these great strides in such a short time demonstrates your ability to maintain, through working with your team, a focus that is needed. And I am absolutely believing that as we look at next year's scores, the passage rate, that we will get there and that we will exceed it. I actually believe that you have the wherewithal to be able to complete that now. My only question tied to the past is just those students that were impacted under the prior whatever's that occurred, that we have reached back to make sure that they are in a position to be successful as they go forward with their careers as well, because I believe that we have a great path for moving forward.
Thank you for that. I can tell you the site visitors mentioned that as well, and we are doing everything we can to help them to pass the board as well. So that's in place.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't want to lose sight of those students as well.
Thank you. Trustee Perry.
Doctor, I'd like to thank you not only for an excellent report, but I would like to thank you on how you tackled this issue about the passage rate, the things that you did in correcting the curriculum, and most importantly of all, of working with your team and taking the necessary measures to bring the School of Pharmacy back where it should be and looking down the road. And I just totally applaud you for dealing with specifics, dealing with things that work, and dealing with things that are measurable.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dean, thank you. So I think we have one last presentation from, Provost Wright? Yes, sir. One more from Dr. Hughes Harris? Okay.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
Thank you, members of the board. Thank you, Mr. President. Feels good. I think it's been a while since you have heard anything about the School of Allied Health Sciences, and I'm certainly pleased to be able to bring you updated information and hope that we can follow up as time goes on. Let me begin by just giving a slight overview of the school. So, the School of Allied Health Sciences is somewhat different from other academic units in that we consist of 6 different divisions. Each of those divisions houses a professional program, Each professional program is overseen by an independent accrediting agency. So we report to 6 different accrediting agencies. A lot of time is spent, therefore, on issues related to accreditation. We have undergraduate programs, cardiopulmonary science, healthcare management, and health informatics and information management. All 3 of those governed by distinct, separate accrediting agencies. We have a master's program in health administration, a separate accrediting agency that is in the process of seeking initial accreditation. The one division of our 6 that does not have accreditation is health science. It's our newest division. It houses a tremendous number of our students, and what it does is it feeds our other programs, both within the school, within the university, other places outside of our university if it's an offering that we don't have at the graduate level. And probably, more importantly, these are students who graduate in health science who are able to move into the workforce in critical need areas in the state of Florida. Because today's focus was on licensure pass rates, we're going to spend most of our time on occupational therapy and physical therapy. That's not to say there aren't other exams. Cardiopulmonary science has a required exam. They have 2 exams, in fact. One is required for entering the workforce. They are currently scoring 100% pass rate, and we're hoping to hold on to that as long as we can. It's been 100% for a couple of years now. Health informatics and information management does have a licensure exam, a certification exam. However, those students don't need that exam to enter the workforce. So they are less inclined to take it, although our strategy with them is to increase the number of students taking the certification exam in health informatics because they advance faster. So those 2 programs offer exams and are moving well, but they are not our arena of discussion today. Healthcare management and health administration, although they have very, very rigid accreditation standards, fortunately, they don't have a certification or licensure exam. We offer programs at the bachelor's, master's, and doctoral levels. The doctorate is the DPT. Let me tell you just a few of the highlights of the School of Allied Health Sciences that you may not be aware of at this point. First of all, we say it loudly and clearly, all of our programs are fully accredited. Some people think that when we have some difficulties, that means we're not accredited. No, it means we're having difficulties, but that has not affected our accreditation status at all. We're fortunate that we have been able to maintain strong enrollment. We have close to 1,200 students in the School of Allied Health Sciences. I'm not going to tell you what the student-faculty ratio is because that would probably sound like I'm asking for new faculty lines, and I'm not supposed to do that. I will repeat. We have about 1,200 students in the School of Allied Health Sciences. We're proud of our enrollment. Health fields are very popular right now. It's a place for strong salaries, and our students get good salaries. It's a guaranteed job if you do what you're supposed to do. So we're very comfortable in attracting students, and we want to do more to recruit students. We're really hindered by lack of clinical sites. We can't place too many students in places that don't have openings for students. We're hindered, as I alluded to, number of faculty lines, resources in terms of space. We have to take those things into consideration because the accrediting bodies do. But we still are able to maintain our enrollment, and our students are in demand, and the people who hire our students are extremely satisfied with their performance as practitioners. So that speaks volumes in terms of the product that's leaving the school. Our faculty and our students are regularly praised and receive awards and commendations for what they're doing. Just in the past couple of months, we've had Dr. Olivera, who is here, who I'll introduce shortly, who was named the Florida Occupational Therapist of the Year. We have Dr. Cooper in Health Informatics, who was named Educator of the Year. We have our several students who over the past year were nationally named as Students of the Year in their respective professions. So, again, we've got faculty, we've got students who are doing what they're supposed to do. Our programs are diverse, and we're quite proud of our diversity. We have to be careful when we talk about diversity because our admissions processes are centralized, and we want to make certain that we are maintaining and adhering to the mission of Florida A&M University. And to do that, we can accept, promote, support diversity while at the same time adhering to our mission. And it's true that our graduates, really, like no other, our graduates are meeting the needs of health populations, the health needs of multiple populations in ways that others cannot. We produce the majority of African American allied health practitioners in not only the state, but in the country. The director of physical therapy told me just yesterday that there were, I think she said, between 1% and 3% of, she really said 1.5, and I said, that's embarrassing. I think it's maybe 1 or 2%. Between 1% and 3% of the practitioners in the field of physical therapy are African American, between 1% and 3%. Most of them are our graduates. In occupational therapy, they're a little higher, between 5% and 7%. Most of them are our graduates. So we are proud that we are doing what we're doing, and we are contributing to the field in the ways that we are. But let's talk about specifically physical therapy and occupational therapy pass rates. Let's look first at physical therapy. The accrediting body for physical therapy is CAPTE, the Commission on Accreditation of Physical Therapy Education. I'm actually a accreditor, a site visitor, a reviewer for CAPTE, and I deliberately have been doing it for several years now so that I get a better handle on what is expected, what CAPTE is looking for as they are accrediting programs such as ours. That one accrediting body has 161 standards, and that's a lot by any stretch of the imagination. We typically have some difficulty with one of those standards, and that's licensure pass rates. Our last site visit was in 2013. When they came in 2013, there were some issues. This other thing that happened in 2013, though, is that we got a new physical therapy director. Dr. Dawn Brown-Cross is here with us. She came in 2013. She might have some more detailed information if questions arise and we need that level of detail. But when Dr. Brown-Cross came, she had to right the wrongs of the previous director. So even though we fully accredited in 2013, there were several deficiencies cited. By 2014, all of those deficiencies were gone because Dr. Brown-Cross did right those wrongs. If we look at the past 3 years, though, we can see in 2014 we had a 92% pass rate, 2015 a 77% pass rate, and 2016 91% pass rate. The national average in physical therapy is 99%. Every year, 99%, 99%, 99%. Now, as I said, I'm a reviewer. I know why that happens. So many of the other schools do not let weak students take the exam. I came here to FAMU from Columbia University in New York over OT and PT. That's what we did. You send your students to the exam who will pass the exam. So you might have a class of 50 32 take the exam and 32 pass the exam. What's happening to those others? Well, there are things that can be done. Sometimes they don't continue. Sometimes they are engaged in remediation. Sometimes they go backwards in order to go forwards. Any number of things. But physical therapy has a 99% national average. The year 2017, the year we're currently in, we don't yet know. Students are still taking the exam. 16 have reported to us that they passed. We don't have any official information yet. 16 have reported that they passed out of the 24 who graduated and took it. Graduated and took it. Some programs only count who takes the exam. Some count how many did you have in your total pool. 16 graduated. We have 8 students in physical therapy that we don't yet know their status. However, typically, when they pass it, they tell us. Probably those 8 students have not passed it. Probably. CAPTI says that over 2 years, we have to maintain an 85% pass rate. We are right. Oh, it is just so uncomfortably close right there. I mean, we're okay. They're not yelling at us, giving us warnings, but we can talk to ourselves. I mean, the reality is there. Those 8 students are critical to us right now. We don't have hundreds of students. We have small cohorts each year. And 1 or 2 students passing or not passing in a small cohort is the difference between success, failure, life, death, probation, not probation. We do have goals, though. We're hoping to get to our 80% this year, 85% next year, and after I go through a few of the strategies, we do think we can be at 95% without engaging in the strategy of admitting students and not allowing them to continue. As I engage in the same analysis of occupational therapy, similarities, but also some differences. Their accrediting body is ACODE. I mentioned I was an evaluator for CAPTI. I'm a former evaluator for ACODE. Evaluating programs, as you know, takes lots and lots of time and energy, but it does give you certain kinds of insights into what the professions are expecting. So I am a former evaluator for ACODE also. They have 188 standards. Our last site visit with ACODE was in 2016. We actually did very well during that site visit, and our next site visit is in 2021. 2014, 2013 and 2014, we had 92% pass rate. 2015, not so promising, 65%, and last year, 68%. So yes, the ACODE body, which is really not the accrediting agency, but their testing agency, says we do not address first-time pass rates. We will only look at the graduates during a certain year, the graduation year. We will look at who took the test during their graduation year, and those are the people that we will count. We currently have, in 2017, they graduated in July. Is that right, Dr. Oliveira, who's our Director of Occupational Therapy? They graduated in July.
No, May.
Pardon me, I meant May. May. They may graduate, all right, May. We have 24 students who graduated. 18 of them have reported that they took and passed the test. So yes, there are 6 students we don't know where they are. They are not contacting us. We are looking for them, and they probably didn't pass. Now, interestingly, ACODE does it differently. If those 6 students fall off the map at the end of the year that they're counting, those 18 students we would go on record as having 100% pass rate, because those 18 students who took it, passed it, and that would be it. But we've got 6 students who matriculated to a graduate program. We owe them. We have to find them. We have to help them take the test and pass it. ACODE has, as I said, 80% over 3 years, and our goals for the occupational therapy program to get to our 80% this year, to move to 85% next year, and also 95% as we move forward. Generally speaking, there's some things that we have observed. One of the major concerns we have about our students, and it's hard for them to understand it, they have to take the test as soon as possible after graduation, as soon as possible. But what happens? They are in demand. They are offered jobs. They said, you can work for us, you'll make a good salary, we'll give you a temporary license, and you can study while you're working. It doesn't work. Most of the students who work immediately after graduation do not do well on the exam. We convince them of that. We bring in their colleagues from prior years to try to convince them of that. It's a work in progress. That temporary license is truly a kiss of death in so many ways. There are also a lot of personal distractions that we keep trying to instill from day one. You've got to stay focused through the exam. You can't go to Thailand, which is one of what our graduates did, the week after graduation for 3 weeks because her boyfriend, father, sister, brother, somebody promised this wonderful trip. The marriages that occurred right after graduation, it's a distraction. Can you wait until after you take the test? Those are observations that we have made. We also know that some cohorts click. Those years where they had 92, 94% pass rates, the cohorts were working together. They supported each other. We've seen that. We haven't been able to predict that element that allows the cohort to work together. We also had federal funding for allied health professionals for several years, and that funding dried up. And students, programs are long, they have hundreds of credit hours, and money is a stressor for it. It does interfere. So we are looking, and pharmacy has done the same thing, and it was successful for them, and we are looking at how we can implement a post-graduation exam prep experience to capture those students and really, once they graduate, they're excited about graduating. Let's now separate that from now. Let's get excited about the exam. There are a couple of action step areas, and I won't go through all of them because there's a lot, but there are 4 categories we have focused on: curriculum, faculty development, academic support for students, and admissions. We have revamped all of our curricula. Faculty are highly engaged in working together to ensure student success. We certainly have mandatory prep courses, and we are looking at approaches to including the testing agencies in developing individualized prep courses for our students based on the analysis of what their strengths are, what our students' strengths are, and what some of their weaknesses are. We are looking at what are the true predictors. We're gathering data right and left in terms of what are the true predictors as to what's the reason for some of those inconsistencies. We do recognize, one of the factors that has come out is that earlier clinical experience will be a benefit to those students preparing for the exam. Now, to get early clinical experiences really does require totally revamping curricula. And again, that's one of the reasons we're changing sequencing and content of courses so that we can incorporate those things that are necessary. 2, get all of that data that we need. One of the agencies, one of the companies that we have not been able to afford, we're looking at ways to do that, is ExamSoft. We just heard from Dr. Ablordepe that they have used ExamSoft and it has been extremely helpful for them, and we are working with that agency, talking with them, talking with administration, looking at resources that we might have to incorporate ExamSoft into the experiences that our students have. Faculty development, I'm really pleased to talk about the strengths of our faculty and their investment and involvement in ensuring exam success. They have been instrumental in saying, let's do it differently. What do we have to do differently? What's working, what's not? I sit in on their faculty meetings, and they're active, lively, and full of approaches to making this better. One of the things I have to thank the university for is helping us revamp our entire advising process. Our professional level faculty were heavily engaged in advising students, which took them away from being involved with the professional level students. We want our professional level faculty to advise and interact with and mentor our professional level students. If they're advising pre-professional or academically advising students and not really mentoring them towards the ultimate goal of the exam, it was distracting in many respects. So we have now advisors that come through Title III, we have advisors that come through student success, which really has cleared the plate for our professional faculty to help them as we move in these directions. This whole arena of faculty being able to write items, write exam items, write those actual questions so that they mirror the exam is a true skill. I heard Dr. Lordaby mention it also. Those workshops occur at our national meetings, and we are in conversation with companies to bring them to us, to campus, to help our faculty really develop the skill of writing items so that they mirror the exam items. That we haven't figured out exactly how we're going to do that yet, but that is a high-level goal. Our faculty are already actively involved in university initiatives to stimulate active teaching and learning in the classroom. Probably our faculty are as active as any group on campus in learning, practicing those skills to help students critically think in the ways that the exam requires. Another arena of activity has to do with academic support, helping our students learn how to take the exam, supporting their efforts using comprehensive exams, more practice tests. We've engaged our graduate assistants. Thanks to the Office of Graduate Studies, we have graduate assistants who are successful, who are able to act as tutors for the lower level students, and that is proving to be extremely helpful, as well as our faculty developing more mentoring kinds of involvement. And then one of the biggest steps is changing our admissions criteria. We had changed them once after 2014-15 lower scores, making them more rigorous, higher standards. But we realized, given the situation we're in now, they still are not as rigorous as they should be. National average has incoming GPAs of 3.6. Our incoming GPA was 3.0 to 3.25. We are upping our required GPA. They haven't finalized yet, but it'll be closer to a requirement of 3.5. GRE minimum, no ifs, ands, or buts of 300. And most importantly, for both occupational and physical therapy, that science GPA seemingly is going to make a critical difference as we look at some of the performance factors that have occurred in the past. So that will be implemented as we move into the next admissions cycle. All that being said, we have multiple strategies in place. Some of them are working, have been instituted previously. Others are in the process of being developed and are being implemented as we speak, as we move forward, particularly those that relate to having the testing agencies more involved with us as they prepare our students for the exams. So we are extremely comfortable that that will be a welcome addition in this process of looking at how to improve exam scores. However, right now we've got one big goal. We have got 14 students, basically, we've got to find. We've got to find them, we've got to get them here, we've got to prepare them for the CAPTE exam and for the ACODE exam. Physical therapy, we have until December 2018. They have 8 students, and we've got to get them ready by December 2018. Occupational therapy, we've got to get them ready within the next several months by April 30th. They have 6 students. So corralling, bringing those students back in whatever way we can, giving them whatever input they need so that they contribute to the 2017 scores. That'll satisfy any concerns that those accrediting agencies have. So that's pretty much the status of the School of Allied Health Sciences in terms particularly of those two arenas. But what we're doing with occupational therapy and physical therapy, we are also implementing to lesser degrees with our other programs that have licensure exams. And as I close, that's us. That looks as if people are sick. That's because those are pictures from our new simulation lab. It's not yet finished, but whenever you have an opportunity, and perhaps we can arrange a visit once we're completely equipped, but we, through Title III, have a multi-million-dollar simulation laboratory where our students, that whole arena of get clinical experiences early, a lot of those early clinical experiences will occur in our multidisciplinary simulation laboratories, so that the simulators, the patients, truly are demonstrating all of the issues that students will be addressing when they are on clinical assignments and entering the real world of allied health.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you. Very good presentation. Very informative as well. Just one question, really more of a comment, and I know we can't answer it today, but I saw the scores and I saw how the scores match up against the national accrediting body, but for other programs across the state, across the SUS, I'd like to see how we specifically match up against them as well as we look at, conversation in the future.
Sure.
That'd just be my only request, because I can do. You've got to get to 85 and 80 respectively, but I know where we are, but I don't know how we match up against the other institutions in the SUS.
Well, we can get that to some extent based on conversations with the other institutions, because it's not general information. Okay. But is that correct, Dawn, that we can get some of that information?
Okay.
Okay. Now we did have one slide that matched us against all of the other schools in terms of enrollment, not salaries, enrollment and number of faculty, and we can add to that exam passage.
Yeah, just in the future when we look at this, just how we match up against the other SUS.
Sure.
Trustee Moore.
Thank you. Yes, some comments. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for bringing a level of awareness. Actually, I just love that we're taking on this initiative of hearing more and being more a part of it. We've acknowledged some tendencies that we see with our students, and we all get that they don't always think long term about their best interest and why the exam is important. So there's a level, and when what that's created is a level of just unpredictability with the scores. We see the ebb and flow. We are high, and then we go really, really low. So talking about the prep exam, I'm wondering if there's any thought about embedding that even before they've graduated, the pre, if you will, before they get out of the door. And then the other part of that, teaching to the exam, I think that's going to be critical. We've seen the results by way of with the pharmacy program. So I would certainly encourage us to look at that even in more detail. I'd also ask, of course, everybody knows I like action steps, but I'm also interested in the dates and timeline for completion of those action steps. I think that gives us greater focus. So if that could be shared with this body, what those dates are that we plan to take on those goals that will get our students closer to where they need to be, and for us where we need to be with accreditation.
Thank you. Yes, we can do that. In terms of the prep exams, they are already embedded in the curriculum and in courses. Mm-hmm. So students have to take and pass those prep courses in order to move to the next steps. So that part is done. And a lot of what I gave was a combination of what's being done in process and things that are being proposed, about to be developed. Those things, those courses that require passing before they can move to the next level or even graduate are certainly important and certainly critical, but it seems not to be enough, which is why we are engaging those testing agencies and those prep courses to give us more focused feedback on what we should be doing, what we can do to make those courses more meaningful.
Thank you.
Provost Wright had a comment, I believe.
We know that the College of Law and the College of Pharmacy are currently using ExamSoft And so we're exploring a university license because then that would help, because we know that it would be helpful not only in allied health sciences, but also in college, in the School of Nursing, and those who are prepping the same way. And so we're exploring that as well. So,
okay. Thank you. Are there any other comments, Trustee Mills?
Just briefly, I'm sorry. I actually did not think that was that good, Dr. Harris. I have to admit that and maybe there's part of this presentation that I'm sort of missing in terms of content, and we can follow up later. And maybe we're a little early in the process, some kind of way. But what I heard was we're looking at a lot, we're evaluating, we're gathering, we're trying to figure out. And I didn't hear much about what we've done and what we've achieved. In fact, one slide said I scored 91% this year, but my goal for this year is 80%, which seems like we should be setting higher goals as opposed to lower goals. So I just really feel like we got a lot of work to do yet on this one, and really probably some more urgency that needs to be established with respect to some of these timelines and what our exact data is telling us. I mean, one of the things we did hear, and this is a little unfair, but we did hear, in pharmacy that they had specifically identified the science GPA as a critical factor, as opposed to the whole overall GPA. And I'm not sure, or at least I haven't heard if we've identified what the specific competencies, et cetera, that we're lacking in this space are. And I really just feel like we have a long way to go on this one. So,
and I appreciate the comment, and I don't disagree with you, but just as a response, this was intended to be an overview. So that's how it was presented is what we were going to do.
That's fair.
At the same time, some of that data are really in the process of being collected. We don't have the data. We don't have, for example, ExamSoft, which provides a lot of that data that others do have. We are generating it ourselves, and with the help of the university, without a doubt. So I'm not even attempting to make excuses. I am saying that, yes, we do have a long way to go. I'm not trying to minimize that in any respect. And I can drill down to more precise levels in both of these programs as individual programs or collectively.
Okay.
What we were trying to do today, particularly because of occupational therapy and physical therapy being more in the limelight and having major consequences, is to kind of give the overview of those two programs, but without a doubt.
And maybe I know we have the schedule to hear a variety of these programs through the various board meetings, and maybe we just follow up on the next one or something, because I just feel like we need to compress this time frame quite a bit.
Yes,
because obviously they're taking these exams once a year or whatever it might be, so we don't have a lot of time to fix this.
Not a problem. I can appreciate that.
Comments, Trustee Mills. I think Trustee Moore and then Trustee Washington.
Yeah, I'll be really quick. Again, the level of urgency attached to this, especially when I look at the April 30th date and then the December, it's critical. So, Dr. Robinson, I'd welcome your comments related to what will be engaged, even Provost as well, because, again, it moves it from the point of that we got to think about it and consider to act,
right,
because April 30th will be here before we know it.
And we have 6 students that we have to capture by April 30th.
Yeah.
And so that's my sort of, if we have such small cohorts, I would be interested to find out what type of systematic way can you find them? I mean, it's 6 students that we had less than a year ago. It seems that it's hard for me to understand I know they leave us, but I would hope that we had some follow-up mechanism, or if we don't have it, maybe another institution does, or for the bar, you get the bar passage rates from the bar. If there's some sort of systematic way that we can capture these students, because it seems weird to me that we have to go find individual students.
The accrediting agencies do give official information once a year. We have not gotten the official information from the agency. So no, we don't have a mechanism. We, of course, follow up on each of our individual students based on the data that we have in terms of contacting them. And it's really easy with the students who take and pass the exam. The challenge is the ones truly, efforts are underway, have been underway since the day they left. Keep in touch. I mean, we have peers contacting them, faculty contacting them, advisors contacting them, program directors everyone looking for and reaching out for those students. We haven't been successful with all 6, but that doesn't mean we're not continuing to provide. And our goal is January and February to have some type of a formal program with whomever of those 6 we can identify and bring to us to make certain that they are captured.
And
Yes.
Mr. Chair, once we find those 6 students, would that be additional cost to the student?
Yes. Somehow or another. Now, we can offer them what we can offer them, but what we're hoping that the lure will be, they pass the exam. That's the cost. They pass the exam. Right now, they are unable to work. They are unable to work. Dr. Oliveira, you have?
Yeah, I wanted to say the 6 that are very critical, we have found them, okay? We have found them, and our faculty are working with 4 of them right now. The other 2 have not responded to our outreach. We're also looking at purchasing, I've talked to a company, and they're giving me coupons for them where they can do a tutorial before they take the exam again. Also, the prep company that we work with, Therapy Ed, which is used nationally, I've sent out to all 6 of those students that they can take that workshop again for free. Okay, so it's not like we've ignored those people. We found them. They kind of ignore me when they get a text from Dr. Oliveira. They sort of, ooh. But our faculty are working with them right now. 3 of them are taking the exam again in December. Some of this is confidence. We've talked to a company that is working with us on that. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. I mean, this is a good informational workshop, and you responded to our initial request.
Yes.
But I think that what I would like to do, 2 things from here. One, this was our first time, but with my number 1 item, I don't want to lose focus on a couple thoughts from Mills. So Provost Wright, I'd ask in our next session that we have answers to Mills' 3 points that he made. And number 2, which is really not necessarily for Dean Fuse Harris, but it's for all of the deans that have professional passage rates. I think you see now a heightened level of focus and awareness from this board moving forward. And I think what you guys did today helped to set the bar for your peers coming forward. So thank you. I know you weren't exactly sure what to expect, but thank you for being the first 3, starting with engineering, pharmacy, and now allied health, to help us set the stage for what the expectations will be moving forward. But the simple storyline is this board is taking a much more active role in making sure that we understand what's being done to specifically improve our professional passage rates across all of the programs. So deans, doctors, thank you for coming forward. You know, you guys probably, again, this was a bit of an experiment for you, but thank you for doing a nice job. We do have some follow-up questions, which, Mills, I'd ask that you specifically get to Provost Wright, the specifics. And in our next session, we'll start with the follow-ups, then move to the next 2, 3 programs.
Sure.
So thank you.
All right.
Just a question for the board. Thank you, guys. Is there any other business to come before this board? Yes.
No, but I'd like to have a comment whenever
Sure.
I get in the
right
queue.
now is a great time.
Okay.
Trustee Graber.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I again want to point out to the board, as we listen to these 3 presentations, we hear some similar things. Helping to develop and reach better prepared students, because there was several of the presenters talked about increasing the admissions rigor. This is critical. The addressing of faculty teaching workloads. The last presenter, Dr. Hughes Harris, did not even want to talk about the faculty-student ratio, because that is an issue. Also, Dr. Gibson talked about the fact that the FAMU side of the FSU, FAMU, College of Engineering. The FAMU side teaches way more, which impedes and intercepts with faculty having the opportunity to conduct research. This is something we must address, and this is not a new issue. This is not related to the current administration, but I can tell you this is an issue across the board. And apparently, my understanding is this was developed, some focus on how these workloads was created. I'm still confused on, because the number of classes that we teach far exceeds on a regular basis, the workload teaching / workload of other SUS institutions in the state of Florida. So this has to be addressed so that we can hopefully ultimately think about board members improving parity and remuneration for FAMU faculty compared to the rest of the SUS.
Thank you, Dr. Grable. Before we conclude, I did want Dr. Robinson to comment on his view of the importance of the professional passage rates moving forward.
Well, first of all, I do want to say that these are issues of the current administration. No matter how they got to this point, there are issues to address, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you to do that. We own these now, and I do want to emphasize how important we all know that not only the licensure pass rate, but overall long-term success of our students, and many of them can't do what they need to do without, passing their examination. And so it's critical to the student success as well. And so we've heard you on, in particular, the last presentation and the status of that program in terms of where they are. And we're gonna, the provost and I, develop something more systematic where not only that program, but all of them can come better prepared to address the issues at hand. Now, not that the provost hasn't been working on this. All of the colleges and schools with specialized accreditations have developed action plans, but it's clear that we're going to have to push harder on some of those programs because of the urgency and perhaps where they are in the implementation of these action plans. And so we will take that issue on. I've heard you loud and clear.
Thank you.
And we look forward to the opportunity to work on this with our faculty, our administrative deans, academic deans, and the provost.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. I'd like to thank the board for a very productive 2 days, right before or in the middle of the holiday season. Thank the leadership team led by our new president, Dr. Robinson. And thank you guys for all of your efforts throughout this calendar year. It's been a really good, productive 2 days. A lot of it, quite frankly, driven by your prep of us before we got to Tallahassee. So I'd ask that we continue that. Again, if there's no further business to come before this board, adjourn this meeting.
If the microphone is still live, someone dropped their wristband or Fitbit or something.
Now, President, hi.
Hello, how are you?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Christine Souders, WTXL. Oh,